I wonder is YouTube TTS works? One more try. Getting started soon. Toss any links to cool stories into the Discord. Damn it, Canooch. One more sound test. It just makes no sense. I heard the YouTube TTS. Now it's gone. Not kidding, pressed no buttons. Come back, Canooch. Canooch went out for scratcher and milk. It is the damn YouTube program.
Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I am here to feel the politics with you. But I, I, uh, technology is just killing me today. Um, I fought and screamed and yelled and created like new chatbots and stuff like that, and got everything going, and TTS still wasn't functioning. So what I did is I started the stream as normal time. Great, wonderful. Then I turned on the add-on that I have for the YouTube text to speech, which is the exclamation speak right here, right? See? And that kicked it into gear somehow. Um, Somehow, I don't know how or why, like it was gummed up. Can you have a lazy robot? Can you have like too many? Can you have a bunch of commands that it just doesn't do until a different command runs or something like that? I don't know. But then it spit out three or four, if you were here about 5 minutes ago. And I got excited because it finally worked. And I don't know, maybe I can kick her into gear. Maybe I can kick the lazy robot into gear through the exclamation speak on YouTube. But then it stopped functioning, which is what happened last time she worked. Worked at the beginning of a stream, then it stopped. There's something about that YouTube exclamation speak that dicks up the regular robot. So I'm going to leave YouTube chat text to speech off again. YouTube text to speech dicks up everything I have, and I don't know why. It really does. Any program that I run, I've run now like 4 different programs to get text to speech to work on YouTube, and it dicks up everything else on this stream every single time, and it's killing me. I don't get it. I don't know what's happening. I've closed the browser extension that I was using to get text to speech on YouTube, and everything comes back to normal. We're gonna give her a few tests. TTS test again. Don't leave me now. I hate you so much. What? 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 This program just works when it wants to. Now it doesn't want to work. It works for 5 minutes, then it quits working, then it works for 5 minutes, then it quits working. I don't know what to do with this thing, honestly. I hate this text to speech thing so much. It's insane how much I hate this thing. It's not that complicated. It's not that difficult, and it's killing me. It really is. I turned the thing off over on YouTube. Okay. All right. Wait. No, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, how does it keep turning on and off? It doesn't make any sense. I'm doing the same thing over and over and again, and I'm getting different results. And it's driving me crazy. Do the same thing over and over again. Get 10 different results, and it'll break your brain. All right. We're on. I've restarted the speech chat for YouTube, and I'm going to do speak, help me, Jesus. And if it spits out a bunch of them, I'm going to be very angry. Glad I could help, Cloud. That's my jam. And it's not speaking any of this. Honestly. None of it coming through. Like, I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. I press no buttons and things change. I change no settings and things change. I change settings and nothing changes. When I try to get it to work, it fails. When I don't try to get it to work, it works sometimes, unless it doesn't. It is a randomly functioning program. It really is. It's ruining me. Is it because KBP isn't gambling enough? Yes, possibly. It is entirely possible that you guys aren't gambling enough on the Kick chat or the Twitch chat that makes Canooch not get enough money. Then she doesn't want to work. She's flippant. She's not on a set schedule. Perhaps that's what it is. Maybe I need to set a better schedule for her. I mean, I have a set schedule. I stream at the same times, but maybe that's not according to her schedule. I don't know. Okay, I'm closing the YouTube one again. I'm going to do one more time, and it's just not going to function. I don't know what has, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I'm not moving buttons around. I'm not pushing different things. I'm not changing the settings. I have no idea what she's doing or how she's functioning or not functioning. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, what am I going to do? Tomorrow, no, later, I'll reset the computer because that seems to like clear up the cache or something like that. Then I will not, I didn't click on it today. I don't know, man. I'm going to not use the YouTube one anymore. It seems to be the cause of the issues. Sorry, YouTube chat. I'm sorry. TTS is just not a functionality of YouTube chat. I'm sorry. It just can't. It can't happen. The more I try to get YouTube chat to work, the more problems I end up getting. And I wish that weren't true, but it is. Okay. Hi, how's it going? I'm tired. I was up late. What was I up late doing? Watching Donald Trump go on Joe Rogan. That's what I was doing. Valor, hi. Thanks for coming. I appreciate everybody who's in chat today. Thank you very much. I went and watched it launched sometime late in the afternoon, evening time yesterday, the Joe Rogan on with Trump. And then I watched it, and it was 3 hours long, and I took notes, and I was very mad at it. Frisco. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's most of it. Okay. TLDR. It is mostly just his same old horseshit. Same old thing that Donald Trump talks about. Joe asks him a couple of questions, and the one thing that I thought he was going to ask, he never asked. But you have to watch till later to find out what that is. Ha 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 ha. See, I got you with a hook. The one question we all knew Joe Rogan was going to ask, and he didn't, which is weird. And so yeah, I've got my notes. Where are my notes? I've got my notes all up for that, and I can read down them. And I've got to get a bunch of news links back up because I restarted my computer for all my news links. I had news links and I had them all up and I had them ready to go. But then I restarted to try and get this damn TTS to work, and it made me more angry. Look up AV Stream Engineer on Indeed. Yeah, I know. I need to hire one, but they cost money and I don't have any money. So there's my issue. So I have to do it myself. Do we want to start with the Joe Rogan thing, or do we want to start with the regular news? Now I have to stay, even though I'm already wanted to. Foil again. Yeah, I know. I'm tricking you. See, this is how I fool you into sticking around and bumping up my algo numbers. But I'm honest about it. If I'm gonna trick you into sticking around, I'll tell you. I'll be like, hey, listen, this is bait. Hey, look at all this bait. Delicious, delicious bait. Don't you want to stay for it? I don't. Okay, so here's the issue with the Joe Rogan thing. I can't show it to you except in tiny little clips. I didn't get any of the little clips together, and maybe I'll get them together and turn it into a better YouTube video, or maybe I won't. The reason is I can't like stream it. I can't like put it up over here and then talk about it because it is very heavily copyrighted, and they will shut my shit down. They will shut the channel down. They will hit me with a copyright strike because you are not allowed to like play more than a few seconds of Joe Rogan, or else the lawyers come after you and they shut you down and they hit you hard. So, yeah, it's like 8 seconds. Yeah, it's very little. So what I think I did is I made little timestamps and I will just kind of read off my notes from what happened. If you've watched it, maybe you'll remember. If you haven't watched it yet, you have this and that to watch now. So maybe this makes for a bad thing, but I don't know. Let's just get a photo of them, perhaps. No, let's leave it face cam. So notes at 4 minutes. How long is a still image on screen? And we'll imagine. That's what I'm thinking. I'll just put a still image on screen, and we'll pretend that that's what they were talking about. That's not a terrible idea. Let me get my thing going here, my browser, because I'm not kidding. I've spent the last 3 hours fighting with TTS. I'm not completely prepared for stream right now because I've just been wrestling with this thing for hours. I'd rather put Joel's in the device. It's not terrible. It's just a regular Joe Rogan stream, honestly. So let's get images. Here we go. No, I want the image. You jerks. And then we go over here to the webcam screen, right? We turn it on, turn off game capture, turn on window capture. We go to the right one, maybe. Ah, there we go. Okay. Now, just imagine they're speaking. Should I bring it down? It isn't. It's not great. Yeah. Let's just leave that down. Let's pretend that we heard them talking. So notes. I just typing and rambling and angry at them. They start off complaining about The View, the TV show with the ladies, and bitching and moaning about how The View treated him nicely before he ran for president. And I was like, dude, and my note is, what the fuck is this ancient drama? Why are you giving me 2014 drama about The View, a show nobody cares about or watches? I mean, lots of people watch it, but it's boring and dumb and doesn't matter. Why are you going on about that? We will circle back to that later when he brings it up again in half an hour. Not half an hour for me, but half an hour on their stream. I didn't get it, but now I do. So in a few minutes, Joe brings it up again, and I'll point to the reasoning behind it. At about 4 minutes, what does Joe say? Joe says that long-term Dems like Elon, Joe Rogan thought Elon was a Democrat before he did the party switch. I don't think he was. Elon just wasn't paying attention. Donald Trump made people pay attention to politics in a weird way. And once they got there, they didn't understand how it was supposed to function and how things used to work. And it just made everything a mess. And they were filled with misinformation and bad ideas and misunderstandings. For example, I did once see a very dumb person on social media say that Kamala can't run for president because she is the vice president. And that means on January the 6th of 2024, she will have to certify herself. And this is illegal. Now, this person said that very loudly, very matter-of-factly, that the vice president in 2024 will have to certify the election, and she will be certifying it for herself, and that is a conflict of interest, and it is illegal, and it is impossible. And some good commenters on social media literally linked a live video of George H.W. Bush doing the exact same thing in 1992. Or was it 96? No, it was 92 or something like that. Or was it 88? Regardless, they showed live video of George W. Bush's dad doing exactly that because he was the vice president for Ronald Reagan. And then he became the president. This isn't a problem. But the person who posted this dumbass thing only got into politics when Donald Trump jumped in on board and is just filled with bad ideas and wrong information. Likely Rogan just heard Elon from 2015 going on about the universal basic income was a con when he was young and stupid. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking, is that Elon wasn't paying too much attention. He doesn't think he's racist, and he doesn't think he's old and stuffy and boring like John McCain or Mitt Romney and shit like that. So they're Democrats. But no, they're just not paying attention. They're middle of the road people who aren't paying attention. That's what I think Elon was beforehand. But in the Democrats trying to hold him responsible, and it wasn't even the Democrats, it was just the news media. The news media found out that he might have sexually harassed an employee and offered to buy her a horse as hush money. And the news, she went to the news, and then the news media's like, "Hey, did this happen?" And then he's like, "Well, I'm a Republican now. That's me." How does he all talk? Now I'm a Republican. The Democrat machine has come out against me, and what you're going to hear over the next few days is made up stories about me that aren't true, and they're not connected to anything. I'm a Republican now. And then the next day, the news releases the thing that he knew was coming out about him maybe sexually harassing an employee. So now he's on the right, and he has to be on the right because the left does purity tests. The Dems and the left entirely does purity tests. And yeah, he needed accountability, join the Republican Party. That's how it functions, man. You sexually harass some employees, join the Republican Party. They'll accept you. Say a bunch of gamer words on stream, join the Republican Party. Do some crimes and break some laws, well, join the Republican Party. That's what happened to that long-haired guy who was in the first Deadpool movie, and then he was in the second one, and then he got into trouble. He got canceled, and now he's on the right. He did some bad things, and then the people are like, "Hey, we don't like it when you do bad things. We're not going to hire you anymore." And instead of saying, "Okay, yeah, you're right. I'll stop being hired for a year or two," he jumps ship completely and runs to the right. Honestly, if you just keep your head down and lay low for a little while, they'll take you back. Yeah, the best friend character, Valor. Yeah, he had that wavy hair. God, what did he do? Okay, I am spitballing here, and I'm telling you the way I remember it. Maybe the details are wrong. He's on a train. He sees a pretty lady. He tries to talk to the pretty lady. The pretty lady shuts him down, says no thanks. He gets drunk. He tries to talk to the pretty lady again. She shuts him down again. He gets mad. He gets off of the train before he's supposed to, before he intended to, gets on a different train going the other direction, then calls in a bomb threat and describes the pretty lady as carrying a bomb. This is not a good thing. If I remember correctly, that's how it went down. I tried listening to Rogan and Trump this morning. I only got through like 40 minutes. Yeah, I've got notes on the whole thing. So that's what that actor guy did. Now, is this a crime? Yeah, kind of. He probably got charges pressed against him and can settle and stuff like that. And he's not in jail. So if the woke media wants to cancel him, just be canceled for a few minutes. I swear to God, just keep your head down, lay low for 5 minutes or a couple of hours. You're not going to jail. And then come back and make a movie later. We'll forget. People are stupid. Welcome in, Zules. I'm going to go over all the notes right now. So let's see. So then what do we got? Then Trump just jibber jabbers about nothing until the minute 14. He jibber jabbers about history and how tall Abraham Lincoln is. Then at 14 minutes, he says, Trump starts talking about how he was new in politics and didn't know who to appoint. I didn't know anybody. I was all alone. I didn't know who to appoint. And I believe him. Maybe that's why we shouldn't elect people who don't know what they're doing. Maybe. Maybe we shouldn't go out into the random public, pick a businessman who doesn't know how government functions, and elect him as president, and then expect him to appoint 10,000 people. He doesn't have the connections. He doesn't know who to trust, and who will be there to fill in those names. The Heritage Foundation, the hard right Republicans, the people who kiss his ass the most, which are the hardest of the hard right. Project 2025 didn't exist, so he didn't know what to do. Exactly. That's not a problem they're going to have ever again. J.D. Vance is there. He knows about Project 2025. He knows the Heritage Foundation. He knows all the players, and he will get those people in place this time, which is why he's dangerous, and I don't want him to win. Let's see. 17 minutes. Trump said something weird, like they never had a guy who wasn't elected to office before, and he is suggesting at about 17 minutes that he didn't have experience. That's exactly why I didn't want him there. He doesn't have experience. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to operate. He doesn't know how to function as the president. All he does is talk shit. That's not what you do. You actually have to do a job. Let's see. When is the election? November 5th. Chet TF. I've already got, I have to mail off my ballot here, but my mail-in ballot is right here. It's been filled out for Kamala, and we're going to move on. And we're going to, I'm going to mail that here in just a few minutes. And maybe not a minute, maybe today, maybe later. I got until the 5th to put it in. Oh, let's see. So what did he do? It's at 20 minutes. He was talking about some crazy.
Frog's gay.
Chet, you just turned a frog gay. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Turned that frog gay. You are a frog sexuality engineer. Congratulations, sir. At 20 minutes, Trump starts talking about some license that's controversial, which makes me think that it's illegal. He's just like, there was this guy in New York. I won't say his name, but he was going to give me a license. I know, KBP. Give me a minute. I just have to. I don't leave the house anymore. Okay, so it's here. It's mailed. It's the 26th. Okay, I just have to drop it into a mailbox. I will do it soon. I'm sorry. Okay. 20-minute mark. He's complaining about some license, and I don't know what he's talking about. It's some controversial license, and he talked to the guy. I talked to the guy. He was going to give me the license. He was and then he backed out, and then he kept me on the line, and then he backed out. It makes me think that it was illegal. He's asking someone for some sort of illegality. I'm not entirely sure. Tim Philosophy, hi, how are you? No, TTS does not work. It did for about 5 minutes at the beginning of this stream. I'm not kidding you. I fought with it. I tried to kill it, and it stopped working. And then it started working, and then it stopped working, and then it started working, and then it stopped working. Madness. I hate it. I'm so angry at TTS. I'm going to reset my computer again this afternoon, and then not bring up the YouTube functionality for TTS. Sorry, YouTube. The harder I try to get YouTube TTS to work, the more things go wrong. Back to Trump. What are we talking about? Let's see what happened after that. At the 24-minute mark, Joe puts it out properly. Why does the media always follow him around? It's because you say a lot of wild shit. That's what Joe says. You say a lot of wild shit. And then compares him to a stand-up comedian. And I think that the more apt comparison is comparing him to a clown. Donald Trump is a clown. Crazy colored hair, just like a clown, painted face, just like a clown. His clothes don't fit, just like a clown. And he tells jokes, just like a clown. And he wants to go up there on stage and have all the people clap and cheer for him, just like a clown. We elected the clown president. We elected the Joker president. That's why all the hard right guys love him. The same people who love the Joker movie, the first one, and are mad about the second one, are the ones who love Trump the most, because he is the Joker. He is an actual literal clown. Tim, I use OBS to do the thing, but then a program called Botrix to do the TTS. Hey, I love Joker. Yeah, and I liked the Joker for what it was, which is that. Okay, so Valor, you loved the Joker. I loved the first Joker movie. But did you see that as a thing to strive to be? Did you walk out of there thinking, oh my God, this Joker guy is fantastic. I want to be like him. I didn't. I saw it as a mirror to our actual postmodern society. You want to be like the Joker. Okay. You want to have some freedom and stuff like that. But I'm not saying you're wrong to want to be more free, but it's about society. You can like that first one, but if you unironically think that the Joker is the good guy and we need to be more like him, it's an issue. Just the sense that he actually did something. Yeah, and right, and not on the right though. They want him to do the things. That's exactly what I'm talking about Trump. That he actually did something. Did he do the right things? Trump does shit all the time. Is it the right thing? God, no. But the people who like him are like, yay, he did a thing. He didn't just slow walk and ignore all of our complaints and then do nothing. And then put together a committee that will look into, so that's what the Dems do. The Dems put together a inquiry that will form a committee to determine whether or not the scientific data can be evaluated to make the things happen. And it's boring and nothing happens. That's Democrats. Democrats are status quo. They want to stand still. The Republicans want to run the wrong way. So that's your choice. Vote Dem to stand still. Vote Republican to run the wrong direction. Full speed into danger sometimes. Back to my notes. What are we talking about? 24 minutes. Now that Joe says you say a lot of shit, I compare him to a clown. 26 minutes. Trump starts his regular stump speech about Iran being broke. Iran didn't have any money. If I'm in charge, I'll get China to pay all of our tariffs, and then we'll have so much money we can just pay off the entire debt. He's just talking about magical money coming from China. Madness. There is no magical money coming from China through your tariffs. Doesn't make any sense. He doesn't know how tariffs work. Again and again and again and again, he does not know how tariffs work. And he wouldn't get them in place anyway. I promise you. Donald Trump gets elected, he will not get those tariffs in place. He'll talk about it all day long, but it won't happen because the business interests, the capitalists that run the country, won't let him do it because it's bad for them. It's good for tricking rubes into voting for Republicans, but it's not good for business. Let me see, 28 minutes. At 28 minutes is my favorite part. I might go find a clip of this one where he says that the media is making things up. Motherfucker, the media is making things up. You last week talked about Haitians eating cats and dogs. That was made up. You're talking about insane asylums dumping all their people at the southern border. That's made up. It's not happening. Screaming bloody murder about illegal immigrants smuggling fentanyl in. It's not them that's doing it. That's made up. Donald Trump makes things up all day, every day. Yeah, Haitian Thanksgiving. Tasty, tasty. The U.S. Money U.S. already borrowed from China. No, he thinks that tariffs, he doesn't understand how tariffs work. He thinks that China pays us the tariffs. They don't. He thinks that if we just charge everybody, all the other countries, a bunch of money, they'll give it to us. It doesn't make any sense. It's not connected to anything in reality. That's not how tariffs work. How do tariffs work? You have a company in America that sells shoes. Great. Fantastic. If they want to sell it in America and there is a 100% tariff, the company in America pays the American government 100% of the cost of the shoe because it was manufactured in Bangladesh. Okay, that's how that works. The company who has a sweatshop in Bangladesh, paying their workers a nickel an hour, pays the Bangladesh factory a nickel an hour. Then they get the shoes. Then if they want to sell the shoes in America, they have to pay the American government 100% of what they charge or what they pay the people in Bangladesh. So they just doubled their cost, which what is that company going to do? They are going to either, one of two things, they're going to charge you double to buy the shoes because now it costs that company double to get them. Or they're going to create a factory in America. And that factory in America will have to hire Americans to work at the shoe factory. Now, that is an acceptable idea. That's why he's on board for this idea, because it takes all those Bangladeshi jobs, those sweet, sweet Bangladeshi sweatshop jobs, and brings them, and then you can have them here in America. Does that sound like a good idea? And they're going to be forced to not pay a nickel an hour. They're going to have to be forced to pay American minimum wage. And those people are going to want, the Americans are going to want benefits and unemployment insurance and pay into FICA taxes and shit like that. And that is going to drive the price up of that product. Outsourcing isn't a good thing, but it does make things cheaper. And if you immediately end that, everything goes up in price. And he doesn't know that. He can't comprehend it. And if he does, and if he even got the tariffs going, which he won't because the business people won't let him, they will have to double all their prices of everything. Then, if it happened, and I don't think it will, Donald Trump will blame Joe Biden. Literally. Donald Trump's tariffs cause every single item in every part of the world to be they cause everything in America to double in price, and he will look you in the eye and say, Joe Biden did this. This is Joe Biden's inflation. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This is the inflation that they caused. I told you about it already. And then I'll be screaming into the camera, this is your tariffs. But he won't care. And the people who need to hear it won't hear it. They'll just assume that he's telling the truth. Sorry, okay, I rambled on that. What are we talking about? What the hell are we talking about? 29 minutes. They go back to The View. Okay, remember I talked about The View 30 minutes ago. At 29 minutes, they go back to The View again. And they talk about how Donald Trump was on The View, or he was on these TV shows, and he was on the morning shows and stuff like that. And it was so nice, and it was so pleasant, and everybody liked me. And I know why that is, Donald. Why were the ladies on The View or the NBC morning show nice to you? Well, it's because you were a clown doing a clown show. It's funny when the clown does magic tricks and makes balloon animals and says the funny things. It's great. I laugh and clap as Bozo the party clown does balloon animals. He does his card tricks. But if I saw him running for president, I would get concerned. If I laughed at a literal clown with bright red hair, having a painted face, scrubbing in to do brain surgery, I would get nervous. This is the shift that Donald Trump cannot comprehend. He does not understand that when you're a dipshit on a TV show pretending to be a businessman, I don't care if you're racist. Honestly, if you are a dipshit on TV pretending to be a businessman and you say dumb things about the economy, it doesn't really affect me. But if that same dipshit on a TV show starts running for president, all of a sudden I need to check his credentials. I need to find out what he's actually done. I need to vet all of the things he has said in the past. And he said a bunch of wild shit and done a bunch of racist shit. So that is why we didn't care about Donald Trump until about 2008, 2009, when he started to come onto the politics scene with the entire Obama birth certificate bullshit. That's when he started buying into politics. And I heard what he was saying. I was like, you're a racist, right? Like that's the thing. And then social media, as so often does, misunderstands why I'm upset with him. I'm not mad with him because he's a racist. You're allowed to be a racist, but you're not allowed to be a racist and then run for president without me calling you a fucking racist. See? Very simple. They won't make it double the price. These shoes cost almost nothing a piece to make and then get sold with a nice label on them that makes them expensive. In other words, it's 99% profit, and having double the production cost won't make double the price. Well, you may be right. It depends on where the 100% gets attached. If it's 100% of the uh, uh, costs to create. If it costs $1 to make the shoe, then they sell it for 60, and their 100% tariff makes that $1 into $2, then they'll raise it up by $1. And you're right that it won't be a double in price. If you're running smaller margins than that, which I suspect that they are, then it could be the smaller your margin, the larger the price increase. So yeah, you're right. It could just be increasing the price by $1 if they're only if they attach the 100% tariff to the amount of money that it took you to create it over there, which is why maybe it will work. But at that point, the tariffs aren't making billions and trillions of dollars. And if they are, it's still not coming from China. It's coming from the company. Have you read the Eileen Cannon is on Trump's shortlist for Attorney General? Yeah, I did hear about that. That is not a surprise. Trump is a mob boss. And if you're nice to him, he'll be nice to you. Doesn't matter if you break the law. Doesn't matter if you're completely unqualified. You said the nice things to him. You said the nice things about him. He'll repay you if he can, until it hurts him, in which point he will drop your ass. The minute Eileen Cannon gets in trouble, he'll be like, never heard of her, don't know who she is, never noticed, never really spoke to her. He did that for lots of people in his orbit. People would get caught up in some sort of scandal. He'd be like, never knew him. He just brought me Diet Coke, so I don't know who he is. What happened then? So yeah, he's a clown. And when a clown does party tricks, I'm happy. When a clown runs for president, I get upset. Then at 31 minutes, he mentions the weave. And I guess the only weave in this discussion was on his head. He talks about the weave. He's not rambling. You see, he's not a rambling, doddering old idiot. He's doing the weave. You see, he's weaving his talking points in and out. And I honestly do think the way he talks puts lots of people's brains to sleep. I'm working on an infographic, how he speaks, and then certain people's brains just shut off and say, yep. It's kind of like a lawyer speak or an end user license agreement, EULA, or a Bible or something like that, where you just don't actually read it. You don't actually pay attention to it. You just skip to the end and click I agree. Kind of. Something along those lines is the way I feel about him. If he becomes president, I don't know if they have the start tossing people away that are embarrassing because he has such an iron grip on everything. Well, only if they're in trouble and he doesn't want, and it hurts him to keep you around. If somebody in his orbit, one of his people got in trouble or actually had a problem with the law, he would try to protect them, but if it's too much for him, he will dump them, weaving his conversation in and out of coherence. Yeah. Let's see, 32 minutes, he calls 60 Minutes a fraud for deceptive editing, and he calls it election interference. He said, according to him, that 60 Minutes, who interviewed Kamala, edited her answer, and that's deceptive, and it's election interference. Have you seen what Elon is pushing on Twitter? Absolute falsehoods, massive dishonesty, piles and piles of lies that no one even tries to fact check anymore because there's so damn many of them. Then, when Elon, and that's what kills me. When Elon lies, it's free speech and an opinion. When 60 Minutes edits something, the government needs to crack down on them, take their broadcast license away. That's anti-First Amendment. Donald Trump saying that the government should crack down on a TV studio and take their license away is the thing that the First Amendment is supposed to protect you from. You're allowed to say that stuff, even if it's wrong. According to the people on Twitter, you're allowed to lie. You're allowed to say whatever you want, and you're allowed to have any opinion you want. But if it's anti-Trump, all of a sudden the government cracks down on you. He is anti-First Amendment. Donald Trump is un-American, anti-First Amendment. Always has been. Let's see. Then he weaves into the debate then he's talking about 60 Minutes, and he's like, they fact checked me, and that was wrong. Well, during the debate, because he weaves so fast, they did fact check Donald Trump, but that's because he lies a lot. Kamala didn't get fact checked because she didn't say any shocking lies. If you don't lie, you don't get fact checked, guys. That's how it works. Donald Trump gets fact checked all the time because he lies constantly. She was wrong about where some troops were. She did say something about troops not being in a certain place, but that's just a mistake. If I tell you my car keys are hanging on the hook next to the front door, and they're actually in the pocket of my jeans because I forgot to take them out, I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you where they ought to be, but I have misplaced them and I've done a bad job, so I'm not lying. I'm just mistaken. Did she make a mistake? Yes. That's different than intentionally lying about who won in 2020. A. Zimmer. Who won in 2020? A. Zimmer. Who won? If you want to be the main character, you can be. Who won in 2020? Tell me. Then let's see. I'm going to keep going down my notes here. What else? Notes. 34 minutes. The FBI crime stats for a fraud. Joe says unreported crime is way up. Unreported crime is up. How can you know that unreported crime is up? It hasn't been reported. Do you have a number of unreported crimes? That would be reported. Like if you have a list of 1,000 crimes, they're not unreported. That's a report. What kind of voodoo statistic is this? And how does he know if unreported crimes are gone up? Do you have a report? Well, then they're not unreported anymore. It's madness. And that's why I think that they're soft brains. They don't comprehend what the hell they're talking about. Make a better point, A. Zimmer. You're not very convincing. CNN, ABC, CBS, and are all frauds. No, A. Zimmer, you feel like they're frauds because they're telling you a truth that you don't want to hear. Mr. A. Zimmer, Andrew Zimmerman? I don't know. You don't like the reality that you're stuck in. And so you yearn for fantasy. And that is what Donald Trump gives you, fantasy. He gives you the feelings that everybody else is wrong and you're right. Well, it's just a fantasy, but join me over here in reality, please. Then Joe blames defund the police, which is insane and stupid. No one has ever defunded the police. It was a bumper sticker idea, slogan for 5 minutes. And then the people in charge said, nah, man, that's a dumb idea. No, we're not going to do that. It was a slogan and nothing else that the left doesn't even use anymore. The Dems said, no, we're not going to do that. No one has ever done it. And if they did move some of the funding around, it came right back 5 minutes later. Then Joe Rogan says that cops don't show up when you call them. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, the police are the biggest expenditure in any city. They have giant, huge amounts of money that they have to throw at the police. I think it's somewhat possible to find a number of unreported crimes. I know crimes against immigrants are often not reported because they're afraid of getting deported. Right, but then if you go and find out that it happened, like, are you reporting it? How are you reporting it? We also know many rapes are not reported. Right, but how do you count those? And if you don't count them, how do you have a number? And if you're not counting them and there's things not being reported, I'm going to suggest that charlatans and liars on the internet are going to manipulate those numbers and make up whatever they want. There's millions of unreported crimes, and you don't hear about them because they're unreported, which is why there's no evidence for the crimes. They become like the 4 million illegals that voted for Hillary. They're not real. They don't exist. Some people are afraid of the police, and for good reason. And of course, the police love Trump. So yeah, and you're right. We do have an issue with the police in this country. The fact that they are mostly violence peddlers. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's kind of in a bad way. We need a intermediate between the armed man ready to kill and, hey, can I have some help? We need something that can help that isn't an armed person. I don't know how we put a mid-tier here. And it doesn't help that the police are all terrified of not going home at night. They aren't brave anymore. That's my complaint with the police anymore. They aren't brave. They used to be, but they're not anymore. They're all... And when a police officer dies, all of a sudden we act like it's some nightmare, horrible thing that shouldn't have ever happened. But it's kind of what they're there for, to be in between the public and the people who are breaking the rules and the laws. They're supposed to stand in between this. And I'm not happy that they die. I'm not happy when a police officer gets shot. I don't want any of them to get shot. Maybe, just maybe, we could control the guns.
The friggin' frog's gay.
Free Plapatine. I appreciate you becoming a follower. You just turned a frog gay. Thanks very much. Good job. I appreciate you. You just turned a frog gay. I hope you're proud of yourself. So, yeah, then they complain about defund the police for a couple of minutes at about 34. And then, let's see. Nobody's ever done it. What else are my notes here? Joe says the cops don't show up when you call them, and that sounds like some boomer Facebook tier bullshit to me. Then they cry about every cop's worst nightmare again. So yeah, now we're getting it into this. I've woven it perfectly. Zionist, yeah, be careful, Plapatine. I will ban you if you get too spicy. Let's see. So what happened after that? Where I lost my train of thought now. Okay, so yeah, they were talking about the every cop's worst nightmare. There's you go up to you pull over a car and you go up there and the guy's got a gun and then you just die and you don't get to go home that night. My man, if every cop's worst nightmare is an armed populace, maybe if we controlled those guns a little bit better, they wouldn't have this problem. Joe says fund the police, and they are the biggest part of any budget in any city. And all the police are worried about the armed public because they get shot. We have an issue here. And this is, I think, why the police are so on a hair trigger. That's why they're so nervous. That's why they're terrified all the time and not brave any longer. Because they know that around any corner there is a gun that will shoot and kill them. That makes you nervous. That makes you edgy. And then when you're on edge, you do make mistakes. You are too violent with unarmed people. You get used to being overly violent with regular people. And I think that's part of the issue. The more killing capability the regular populace has, the more dangerous the cops have to be. And the more dangerous the cops are, the more likely they are to hurt regular people unintentionally. There's definitely academic reports about unreported crime done somewhat scientifically, but again, if anything, I would guess unreported crime is going up because the anti-immigrant fervor. Yeah, that makes sense to me, and that's not what they were talking about. But and I could definitely see that stance. They didn't give us any numbers, though. They just kind of said unreported crime is going way up, and the FBI lied about the crime stats. And why do they have to tell you that? Because Donald Trump is on this kick of everything is criminal, the crime is going through the roof, and the numbers suggest that it's not. Sorry, Donnie. He needs you to be afraid. He needs to spread that fear. He needs you to hear that everything is a nightmare, awful hellscape when Joe Biden's in charge. Vote for him. So he will invent fear even if there is no evidence for it, and that's what I think he's doing when he talks about those high crime stats, is he's inventing fear that doesn't exist, and that irritates me. Let's see. At 38 minutes, Donald says she was big on defend the police and trans people sex changes. Is this the weave? I guess that was like one sentence that he had. Kamala was really big on defend the police and trans people sex changes. I'm like, what? How do those two things connect? They don't. And then they complain for a few minutes for just a few minutes about trans people. But then at minute 39, they talk about, he weaves so fast. It's rambling insanity, but he calls it the weave. So at minute 39, he says that Kamala stole his idea on tax on tips. Follow me here. Did he have an idea that the people would like? Yes. No tax on tips. Did he put it together in a policy? No. He's an idiot. He doesn't do policy. He hires somebody else to do that later. He says the buzzwords, no tax on tips. And then when you have to write that shit down in a law book, when you have to pass a bill with thousands of words and explanations and definitions, he ain't got none of that shit. So when the people looked at his idea, it was going to have gigantic loopholes, right? And the worst among us, the worst of the capitalists, were going to exploit those giant loopholes for their own benefit to dodge taxes. I don't like that. So did Kamala steal the idea, no tax on tips? Yes, but then she made it better. She closed giant gaping loopholes that his team would have left in there, and she made it her own idea, but better and more functional. Donald, this makes her more qualified than you. You're just a shit talker. You don't even know the ramifications of the words you're saying. No tax on tips. Then lots of hedge fund managers are going to turn the amount that they're paid and shit like that into tips so that it doesn't get taxed. It's going to create a loophole if you don't build it properly, and I don't trust you to build it properly, Donald. You're an idiot. So I'm happy when he says a thing that makes the people happy, and then she does an actual policy about it. That isn't stealing. It's fucking functional. If he actually has a good idea, you should take it and strip out all the stupid and remove all the loopholes that he didn't know, because he's not a policy guy and he doesn't have any policy guys around him, and then make it functional. And that's what she's done. Let's see, 39-minute cars, Detroit and China. It's still minute 39, and now we're talking about in 1 minute, minute 38 to minute 39, defund the police, trans people sex changes, steal the tax on tips, Detroit, cars in China, and that's like 1 minute. He talked about all those things within 1 minute. Is this the weave? At minute 40, he misunderstands tariffs again. At minute 43, he sucks off Elon so that Elon will keep paying him. Trump is the biggest sellout in existence. No one has sold out harder than Donald Trump. This kills me when his fans tell me that he's not for sale. He's always been for sale, man. 100% of the time, he has been for sale. He will show up in your movie if you pay him, and he'll say something stupid. He'll show up on your TV show if you give him some money. He'll sell steaks with his name on it. He just slaps his name on anything. Water bottles, shoes, NFTs, which are a gigantic scam. Crypto, which is also a gigantic scam. A university that wasn't accredited and got sued into oblivion because it didn't give the people the things they paid for. Then what was the other? And then the Trump Foundation, which he was using as a slush fund. He would say, "Yeah, give me some charity money." He would put it into the Trump Foundation, and then he would just take it. He is a scammer, constantly, nonstop, never ending, constant scam, always for sale, always has been. Let's see, and then they go on to talk about the same old economic talking points, nothing new there. He makes up a story about pollsters kissing his ass the day before COVID. The day before COVID, I had these two pollsters who were in my office. They were talking about how great a president I was, and that if George Washington ran again with Abraham Lincoln as his vice president, they wouldn't have numbers as good as mine. I don't think any of this happened. I really do not think anything that he says happens. When he tells a story about, this guy told me this one time thing, this guy told me this today about trucks. He said the trucks were beautiful. They said there's amazing trucks, but now the trucks are too expensive. I don't think any of these things happen. I really think he's making it up. Bibles, don't forget the Bibles. Yeah, exactly. He's selling Bibles for a marked up price that are built in China. They're put together in China, then he sells them. He would have to tariff that company. Just saying. Does he know that he's going to have to tariff his own Bibles? He is. He's going to have to tariff them. It's going to cost them more. At 52 minutes, he does some more magical economic nonsense about the Chinese paying the tariffs. It's nonsense. 53 minutes. Oh, God. At 53 minutes, they whine about the regulation on rocket ships. He's like, I was talking to Elon, and he's like, look, there's so many regulations on creating my rockets. I almost can't get them up in the air anymore. Donnie, listen. Regulations on rockets save lives and prevent giant fireball explosions in the air above the places that people live. Okay, the government made me do safety regulations on my giant metal building that's full of explosives and flies through the air. It's not fair. What are you talking about? Every cut in regulations, every deregulation is paid for in blood. Maybe it's your blood, maybe it's mine, maybe it's the customer's blood, maybe it's the consumer's blood, maybe it's the worker's blood. Every deregulation is paid for in blood. And I would rather we come to a healthy medium on the amount of blood versus the amount of regulation. If there are too many regulations, I dig it. You can't get anything done. But if there are not enough, workers are dying, people are getting poisoned, mesothelioma comes back, and at best you can sue them after you're dead, I suppose. Maybe that'll make you feel better. Let's see. And then they cry about the evil environmentalists, folks. They're using regulations to stop people from doing anything for money. He cries and whines about some evil environmentalists who are stopping him from building buildings. And then Joe actually does push back on this and says, why would they do that? Why would they use environmental laws as a way to stop you? And Trump's like, for the fees, for the money. Environmentalism is not a cash-making scheme. It's just not. It isn't. It never makes much money. You could make so much more money doing any other scheme, any other scam in the world. Environmentalists don't use regulation to get rich. That's insane. If it were a giant cash scheme, Donald Trump would be in on it, like the cryptos and the NFTs and the Bibles. If environmental lawyers were scheming money out of rich people, Donald Trump would own a few of them. But he doesn't, because it's not actually a scheme. The people who are preventing you from building the things are trying to prevent environmental catastrophe. They had actual concerns about the environment, and you can't fathom that, Donald. You misunderstand why they are stopping you. You have created a delusion about the giant environmental racket, and now you're spreading fear. And then Joe tries to push back, and he's like, how are they generating money? But how are they getting these massive fees? But then Donald Trump is like, we had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water. He weaves. Maybe it's not a weave, it's a dodge. We had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water, because he has the intellect of a toddler. Mine was the best, mine was the biggest, we had the best, everything was great, all of my stuff was perfect. We never had any wars, we had the best economy ever, the highest numbers in the world. Doesn't matter if any of those numbers are true. He'll just say it, and his fans will like it because they're in a cult. Oklahoma's probably going to buy a ton of them and stick them in schools. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've seen that. It's disturbing. They better get them now before Trump puts the tariffs on them. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing if he skipped all the tariffs on his companies? God, that would be beautiful. That would be so fucking beautiful. And to avoid tariffs, all you have to do is kiss his ass and give him a few bribes. I love capitalism. So good. Let's see. At 58 minutes, they complain about China polluting. And their logic, he's rambling, but the logic, if I understand it, is China's polluting, so we can't have regulations that lower our pollution. He's a toddler. Look, those people over there are doing a bad thing. I should get to do bad things too. No, man, no. He wants to cut the regulations on pollution so that America will have more pollution because China's polluting. That's his logic. I'm not even fucking that up. Like, I'm not misconstruing him. China's polluting. Don't put regulations on America about their pollution. That's it. Do I think he's been trying to impress his dad his whole life? No, maybe. He, I don't know. He's clearly a narcissist, but do narcissists want to impress their dad? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's a thing that I don't know about because I'm not a psychiatrist. God damn. Then at 101, an hour and one, we start doing the idiotic valve for California water again. Like, they have so much water in California and they're using it to save the fish. It's idiotic. Again, I think he misunderstands the complicated water use issues that California has and then creates a delusion and spreads fear. He just makes up this nonsense about a giant spigot that they can turn on and off if they want to, but they don't do it because they're trying to, the environmentalists, those evil environmentalists, are trying to save a fish. I think he's just full of shit. He's just so dumb. He doesn't understand that California is always under a drought, almost always. They don't have much rain there. Have you been to Los Angeles? It doesn't rain there. The people there need to import the water from somewhere else. And according to him, California has so much water. They don't even know how much water they have. It's amazing. Most men want to impress their father. Sure. I think it's his point is that you have regulations while China doesn't, and China will dominate economically. Then do something about it. Work with them through diplomacy. They don't like pollution either. Their people are sick. Their people are dying. Convince them to do a better job through some sort of diplomacy. Tell them you won't buy their products, or we'll try and make our own. Do something other than just let the regulations go for America so they can pollute some more. I don't care about the economy if we all die from asphyxiation because the ozone layer's ruined, or the smog is so bad, or we can't get any clean drinking water. What good is the fucking economy at that point? But I'm a radical leftist. I don't like the economy anyway. I should have kept fucking my land because the neighbors will still mess up their land. Yeah, it's nonsense. It's not a forward looking ideology. Conservatism is not a forward-looking ideology. If you're lucky, they look at what's going on right now, but usually they are facing backwards. They are looking to the past. Make America great again. We want what Reagan had. Let's go back to the laws of 1819 to hurt the people we don't like. Ecology and economy. Yeah. Ecology is more important than the economy. Yeah, there is no economy if we're all dead. Then I'm going to have to research this. I'm writing these two things down. There's two things that I want to talk about as soon as I'm done with my notes, and we're going to look at it. One is the lake that disappeared. Joe Rogan brought up the lake that disappeared. I'm writing this down so I don't forget. There's some lake that got drained in the 1980s, and they think that this is the entire cause for all the droughts in California. It's fucking stupid. They're stupid. But I'm going to look into it and find out the facts about this lake that disappeared. Also, what is Donald Trump? He tells a story. Again, I don't think that any of these stories happened. The story he tells is, I got it done. I did it. I got the deal. I got it all done. I got all the water for California. Gavin Newsom didn't want to sign it. All he had to do, Gavin Newsom, all he had to do was sign it. And then California gets billions and billions of gallons of water from, he doesn't say from where, but just gets water. I fixed California water, says Donald Trump. All Gavin Newsom had to do was sign it. What? Again, he misunderstands the complicated water issues that California has, creates a delusion in his head that all he has to do is this very simple hack, and then he spreads fear about the fact that no one will take him seriously. I think he's making this up. I think he's making all of this up. I'm going to try and figure out what the fuck he was talking about because he's a lunatic and find out the actual truth. I very much doubt that Gavin Newsom was offered billions of gallons of water for California, and he shot it down because he doesn't like Trump's hair. You know, like Gavin Newsom, he doesn't like me, so he turned it down. You know, he doesn't like me, so he shot it down. He wouldn't sign it. Billions of gallons of water for all the farmers in California, and he shot it down. Billions of gallons of water for California would mean everything in California gets easier, cheaper, and better. Like, why would Gavin Newsom not sign that? I don't think any of these things happened. I think that he is making up a story. He's invented an entire fictional fantasy land that happened inside his own head. And I think it's horseshit. Let's see. 108, he complains that Anwar and the drilling, but again, short-term thinking. I had the Alaska deal, the Anwar, so much oil up there, more than Iraq, more than Saudi Arabia, maybe. I'm a miracle worker. If anything I do doesn't work, it's because someone else. Yeah, exactly. He made a miracle. He made billions of gallons of water in California appear out of nowhere, and because the left hates him, they refused it. Nah, man, I just think that you're lying. So now he complains about Anwar at about 108. What is Anwar? It's the Alaskan National Wildlife Reserve. We have this area of Alaska that the environmentalists fought to keep people from drilling in. There is a secret plan here. Donald Trump isn't in on the secret plan. The secret plan I have mentioned before. I will tell you right now. So, listen. Okay, let me make sure that there's nobody important in here listening. You guys are allowed. You're in the cool club. I will tell you the secret plan for Anwar. The more you say this plan, the less the plan works, which is why the Dems don't say it. They have a plan. It's a secret plan. But if you tell everybody, it doesn't function anymore. And it really is true this time. Donald Trump says that about his plans all the time, but I think he's wrong. So what is the secret plan for Anwar? Very simply, make all the other countries use their oil first. Then, when we have given them dollars and taken the oil away, they're out of oil. We still have the Anwar. Then we have it. We're eating everybody else's lunch first. Then we will eat our lunch. But that secret plan, and if you really want to if I really want to put my hat on, I'm putting my hat on. Follow me. 1, we buy all of Saudi Arabia's oil. They cannot pump anymore because it is simply gone. There is no more. We can stop being friends with them. We can stop allowing them to be the regional hegemony of the Middle East. We can stop giving them our money. We can stop ignoring it when they murder people. We can stop ignoring it when they are bad to their citizens. Right now, we have to be nice to Saudi Arabia so that they will sell us the oil. Okay? Same with Iraq. Same with Iran. Well, not with Iran, but same with Iraq. We need that oil. As soon as the oil runs out, and the sooner we run them out of oil, the sooner they run out of political power. The sooner we can abandon them. The sooner we can stop paying them. The sooner we can swap, here's my hat, to a new currency. We give them dollars. We take their oil. When they run out of oil, we swap to a new currency called the Amero, and then make them give us the dollars for 15. They give us $15. We give them 1 Amero, you know? That's my tinfoil hat theory. Donald Trump isn't in on this theory because he cannot look forward. He cannot plan for tomorrow. He cannot make complex, long-term strategies. Yeah, Dark Brandons. Yeah, exactly. Dark Brandon knows this theory. Most of the Democrats, I think, do know this theory as well. They get to, 1, say they're environmentalists by protecting the Anwar. 2, when everyone else runs out of oil, we still have this secret stockpile that we can get and no one else can, and it's ours. And then if we want to sell it to them for Ameros, we might. So yeah, that's the full plan. Everybody else runs out. We still have the most. Swap currency. Make them buy the currency at an inflated rate. And if they want or they want to buy the oil from us, they'll have to use that new currency that they had to get at an inflated rate, and we're dicking everybody. This is just cutthroat, angry, hateful business. And that is the secret plan. But Donald Trump doesn't know that secret plan. So what he wants to do is go drill our reserves right now so that oil will be cheaper. Tinfoil hat. Yeah, it's a good idea. We need some sort of tinfoil hat emote. I'll work on that as soon as I get TTS working. So never. But the point that I'm trying to get at is Donald Trump can't think long-term strategically. Don't eat if you're camping. This is an old thing. Or when you're playing when you're camping, or when you're playing Oregon Trail. Remember Oregon Trail, guys? You don't eat the food you have until you fail at hunting. Okay, so if you only have enough food for 4 days and you're going to be out there a week, go fishing. And if you fail to fish, then eat some of that food. And if you succeed at fishing, don't eat that food. This is very simple. And Anwar's oil reserve is that pile. It is that hidden reserve. It's that secret 20 in the back of your wallet that you're not supposed to touch and only use it for emergencies. It's that credit card that you have only for super important emergencies. If you use it all the time, it's gone and you can't use it in an emergency. Anwar is America's savings. And a break in case of glass, or it's a piggy bank that we can break in an emergency. And Donald Trump wants to go take all the money out of that piggy bank because he has no forward thought. God, then he says windmills are killing the birds. Windmills, they're killing the birds. Windmills are driving the whales crazy. This is a new one for me. Apparently, windmills at sea are driving the whales crazy. And the environmentalists don't want to talk about it. They refuse. Probably because it's not true. But according to Donald, it is true. And the environmentalists, what benefit do environmentalists have for getting the windmills out there, but then hiding the fact that it's killing the birds and the whales? The reason the environmentalists don't want to burn fossil fuels is because it's killing the birds and the whales. Man, damn. Idiot. The reason the environmentalists don't like burning fossil fuels is because it raises the temperature of the planet, and then that kills the wildlife, it kills the bugs, it kills the food chains, and it kills the whales. So if windmills were killing the birds and the whales, they wouldn't be on board for them. I suspect that he is lying. He misunderstands how the whales are dying. He's created a delusion that it's the windmills driving them crazy with the noise and the vibrations, and he is spreading fear that windmills are killing whales. Breaking case of glass has me roll. Yeah, it's exactly correct, though. Because he sees money that he can grift on. Yeah, he sees money right now. I want that money right now. He is a child who can't put off who get delayed gratification or whatever the hell it's called. Don't perv out on me now. They used to do experiments with the kids that could, they put candy in front of a child and say, hey, you can have this one candy right now, or you can have like 5 candies if you sit completely still for 5 minutes. And the ones who can sit for 5 minutes are better off down the line. Like when they become adults, they're better off. They have better impulse control. They have better economic situations because they're capable of putting off their gratification. Trump was the kid who ransacks the cooler because he said, I'm hungry, and the response was to go home. Yeah, exactly. Instant gratification. Right. That's what he wants. He needs it right now, and he cannot look forward. He cannot comprehend what might happen next year. He can't do it. He is incapable of forward planning. Okay. At 1:13, they start talking about nuclear plants, and Joe's like, "Hey, these nuclear plants are totally going to be fine, totally going to be great." And Trump says he starts talking about an Alabama nuclear plant that got inspected and then shut down because it failed the inspection, and this made him mad. Donald Trump, if he wins, we're going to get nuclear power, but don't worry, you won't have all those stupid safety regulations to stop you from producing it. No, he's going to get rid of all the regulation on the nuclear plants, and then the nuclear plants are going to be able to finally produce some electricity. I mean, they're going to produce three-eyed fish and glowing children too, but that's just the price of progress, I suppose. He really is the head of the idiot party. He sat there and bitched and moaned for like 5 minutes about concrete. Hey, concrete. I don't want to take up your entire stream talking about concrete, but they had this perfect concrete and it wasn't quite right. And the inspector came in and said, hey, this concrete isn't quite right. So they had to shut down the entire place. Motherfucker, that's how it's supposed to work. Nuclear energy is dangerous if you don't make sure everything is perfect, you have Chernobyls, you have problems. And that regulation that prevented this place from opening, if any of this even happened, is how regulation is supposed to work, and it is keeping people safe. All deregulation is bought in blood. And this is exactly what I was talking about. He says it again. Don't let the regulators regulate your nuclear power. What kind of insanity is that? Like, that's the place you want the most regulations, the most safety precautions, the most inspections, is at the nuclear energy plant. Christ, he's an idiot. Jesus Christ. Then he goes into the nuclear uncle story again. And all my notes say is, oh God, no, not the nuclear uncle story again. God, no, please no. But he only gave a small version of it. It was very stupid. Then at 1:14, he says nuclear warming again. And I got excited. My notes say, nuclear warming, woohoo. Maybe Joe can unravel this conundrum for me. Oh no, we're just going to ramble about Joe Biden's age. Is this the weave? So yeah, he says nuclear warming. The thing that nobody's talking about is nuclear warming. And then Joe's like, tell me about that. And he's like, no, Joe Biden's age. He's too old. He can't do anything. Can you imagine this guy? He's so old. And I'm like, wait a minute. How the fuck? The weave just means you're dodging questions. You're weaving in and out in between the questions and what you want to talk about. So then he moves on to complain about Joe Biden for a few minutes. At 1:17, mother of God, 1:17, he talks about all the polls that are made up. He says all polls are made up. All of the presidential polls that you see on the news today, all made up, according to him, all of them. They just take your money and they tell you whatever the customer wants to hear. Some of them never poll. I've never been polled because it's never happened to me. It's clearly never happened to anyone. And I was laughing at this because he talks about how he's ahead in the polls. He said 70 times during this interview that he was leading in the polls, but the polls are made up. He has just an amazingly dysfunctional brain. He can look you in the eye and say, all the polls are made up. All of them. None of them are real. I'm ahead in the polls. I am leading in the polls. All the polls are lies. You can't trust them. Don't listen to anything the polls have to say. I'm ahead in all the polls. It's amazing. He has not a functional brain. Cause and effect have just do not function within his brain. And it's amazing. So he's losing. He doesn't know. That's what I'm saying. Donald Trump operates purely on feelings. If he feels like he's winning, then he's winning. If his fans feel like he should win, then he does and already did. He's already won because they feel it. Look at all the street signs. Look at all the rallies. Clearly, he's winning, and he did win. And I'm ready for it. The day after he is announced the loser, he will point to those polls as proof that he won. But he just said that he will look you in the face and say that. The polls are all lies, and they prove that I won. They're built by people who don't do any polling. They just make the numbers up, and they prove that I won. It's amazing. Like, this is cognitive dissonance on a level I've never seen anywhere. Let's see. We're not even halfway through. What are we at? We're at polls made up. 121. He complained about Hillary doing the same old shit. Dems deny the election. Horseshit. They complained and looked for a reason why Hillary lost. That's not denial. If you look at 2016 and try to figure out what happened and why, that's not denying that 2016 happened. And they said the same old horse shit again. Oh, Joe and Biden both said it. Oh, they said that Hillary got cheated. They said that Russia cheated and won them the election. Wrong. That is not what the people on the left say. They have said that because Russia paid fake Facebook actors, it fooled dumb people into voting for you. That's what they said. They're not denying that you won in 2016. They're suggesting how and why. That's not a denial. But again, that's a what's the word? That's a nuanced take. Donald Trump doesn't do nuance. Black and white, maximum, minimum only. This is the maximum of all the things. It's me. I'm the best. You are the worst. I'm the best at everything. You're the worst. You're the worst at all the things because I'm the best at everything. Everything I did is perfect and right and correct, and everything you do is wrong. He doesn't have a center. He doesn't have shades of gray. He doesn't function within the shades of gray. Then they complained about the terrible vote fraud that all the Dems do with no evidence. All the terrible vote fraud that the Democrats did in 2016 and 2020. I can't prove it, and there's no evidence of it, but it happened because I feel it. Then he calls Kamala low IQ. Is this a racist dog whistle? Yeah, kind of. I think that he's using low IQ as a racist dog whistle. She really is low IQ. She's never smart. She has low IQ. Motherfucker, she was a district attorney and a senator and vice president. She has all the qualifications to become the president. She's not going to get in there and not know who to appoint. Okay. Yeah, IQ was invented by a fucking racist. Yeah, exactly. IQ is an issue with race, and IQ is a dangerous topic. Let's see. So I think he's using it in a racist, low IQ, racist dog whistly way. 120 at minute 1 hour 25. Xi Jinping is brilliant. The current VIP is. He says that Xi Jinping is brilliant and that the current VP is low IQ. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are the enemies within, but Xi Jinping is a hero. Kim Jong-un, super great guy. We love him. He's great for America, but Chuck Schumer is the enemy within. He hates America and he hates Americans. He is anti-American and anti-American democracy. If you disagree with him, you are the enemy. If you are if you're Vladimir Putin and you say nice things to him, you are his friend. He is so easily manipulated, really is. And that's why Xi Jinping is hoping for him to get reelected, because he's easily manipulated, because he's an idiot. Okay, 125. Finally, Joe asks him, how would you have stopped the Russian invasion of Ukraine? And it was fantastic. I'm like, yes, finally. He said the thing. It wouldn't have happened. Putin wouldn't have gone into Ukraine if I were in charge. And then Joe, finally, good job, Joe. Way to go, says, how would you have stopped it? And his answer, what is Trump's answer? Oh, I would tell him not to. That's it. That's the whole thing. I would tell him not to. I would talk to him and tell him don't. That's his entire plan. That's the thing that he thinks will work. Call him on the phone and tell him not to do the thing that's good for his country. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. This is the brilliant, super genius plan that he has, that his fans are all in love with. Call him and tell him not to do it. That's the answer that he's got for you. That's his world peace that he's going to bring you. Call them and tell them not to. Maybe it's like Cartman. No, Putin, that's not your country. That's Ukraine. He's like Cartman from South Park. No, Putin is a bad Putin. Ma'am, Vladimir Putin is being a dildo. Maybe that's his plan. I don't know. Like he's got nothing. Just yell at it. Just tell him don't do it. Hook for later. He's going to say that thing again about something else. 127, random rambling about Afghanistan. Is this the weave? He's just randomly pissing and moaning about Afghanistan and how bad it was. I should voice act. Valor, I really did think about it like 2 years ago, and then I looked at all the AI that's doing it instead, and I was like, oh, well, all voice actors are going to lose their job soon. So Joe asks what you would have done differently in Afghanistan. Excellent question. Fantastic plan. Joe does the thing that I wanted him to do. What would you have done differently in Afghanistan? This is actually a good question. And the answer is he would tell Abdul to stop shooting U.S. soldiers. I'm not being racist here. That was his answer. I told Abdul to stop shooting U.S. soldiers. I don't know who Abdul is. He thinks that it's an actual guy that he spoke to. I don't think he's being racist here. I'm definitely not. Those were his words. I told Abdul to stop shooting U.S. soldiers. That's what he actually said. So this is his brilliant plan working again. Same as when he told Putin not to invade Ukraine. He would simply he would get Abdul, what's his name? He would get Abdul Taliban. That's the man's name, Abdul Taliban. He would call Abdul Taliban, talk to him on the phone, and say, Abdul, you got to stop shooting U.S. soldiers. You got to stop. Stop doing it. And then it'll happen. That's his plan. Call Abdul Taliban and tell him, stop shooting the soldiers. And then he weaved again into, we should have kept Bagram Air Base because we could use it to strike China. I really do think that's what he said. We should have kept Bagram Air Base, pulled everything else out of Afghanistan, take it out, keep Bagram so that we can strike China. That's what he said. It's buried in rambling nonsense, but that's what he said. And then he complains that we left all the equipment behind. We were supposed to be there in the last couple of years. We were building a democracy in Afghanistan. That's why we left that stuff there. It didn't accidentally get left there. We were supposed to be there building an Afghan government. They're corrupt and the Taliban pays better. So the people were stealing and it didn't work. But if we were doing that plan, they would need that stuff. But even the plan to build the government was a late plan because we went in 2001 with no plans. We went into Afghanistan in 2001 with no fucking plan, no ideas, no things to accomplish, no checklists of shit we got to do while we're here, no goals, no understanding of the region, no understanding of what we even want to do once we're there, no exit strategy. It was doomed from the start, and I'm glad Biden pulled us out. It took balls to drag us out. If we had stayed until 2030 and spent another $1 trillion, the exit from Afghanistan would look exactly the same as it did. People left behind, a mess of equipment, the Taliban takes over. Afghanistan was the world's largest sunk cost fallacy, and Biden forced us out. Did it hurt? Yes, it did. But it would have hurt if we had done it sooner, and it would hurt if we did it later. And it would hurt if it was done under a Democrat, and it was going to hurt if it was done under a Republican. Everything that you saw with the pullout of Afghanistan under Joe Biden is exactly how it would have gone down under anybody else, under any other circumstance. 10 years earlier, 10 years later, 2040, we would pull out and it would look exactly the same. People get left behind. We leave all the equipment for them. The Taliban comes and takes over. Wouldn't be any different. Abdul doesn't want us, U.S. soldiers in his country. Right. He doesn't want them there. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar gets a confusing call from the president. Yeah. Abdul Taliban, hey, it's me, your favorite president, Donald Trump. You got to stop shooting the soldiers. And then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is like, what the fuck? What is your opinion on Afghanistan? Do you think it's moral to try and force your values on? Well, I don't think that we should be forcing the entirety of America. I don't think we should be dropping Coca-Cola and lounge chairs and Star Wars figurines out of the place to try and trick them. But we have to give them the benefits of modern society. If we go there and we build schools, because that's what the Taliban does. The Taliban is over there building schools. They're building government facilities. They're building things. And we're competing with them. We're paying for this one group of people to do government things. And then the Taliban is also getting paid from Russia usually, or a bunch of other places, to also build stuff. It's a proxy war. We're paying one side. Russia and China are paying another side. just so we don't have to go to war with each other. That's a much less bloody war. So I'm okay with us saying, hey, here's the good things that we've got. Here's the good things that are going to happen. Nobody from Afghanistan has harmed anyone from America except for the troops that are over there. Did the 9/11 hijackers come from Afghanistan? Sure, but they were bankrolled by Saudi Arabia. We all know this. We're not allowed to talk about it. Then, are Afghanistan Talibans attacking us? No. They're not attacking anything near America. They're just attacking our troops that are already there next to them. If those troops aren't next to them, they're less likely to get attacked. It's a whole fucking thing. There's 1,000 things going on with Afghanistan, and I'm glad we left. Sunk cost fallacy. We can't stop playing the slot machine or else we'll be a loser. If I stop putting money, all of my rent money, into this slot machine, I'll never win. But then I'm broke. And I think that's the way Afghanistan was going for a very long time. Yeah, hit that slot machine, KBP. There you go. If you stop playing now, you're a loser. Bring democracy. Yeah, that would be nice. Let's see. At 1:31, Donald Trump complains about General Milley because General Milley said it would be cheaper to leave all the equipment in Afghanistan. And this pissed Trump off. I don't know why. I don't know why he would be upset by this. Milley said it was cheaper to leave it there. I told Milley, get all of our equipment out, get all of our stuff out. And he said, no, it's cheaper to leave it there. And yes, Donald, it is cheaper to leave it there because it's used and might have bullet holes and covered in sand. And you can't resell it. What are you going to do with all that shit you put over there? We built that shit so that we could send it to Afghanistan. And then maybe we could charge them at some point. And once they become a functioning democracy and they need more Jeeps, we can sell it to them. America is an arms salesman. Arms salesmen don't make more money by taking stuff back. You would have to resell it at that point, or you would have to rehouse it. If we took thousands of Jeeps from Afghanistan, we'd have to put them somewhere. We'd have to put them on a base somewhere, and they would sit and they would rot. Best case. Worst case, they would get scrapped. Maybe, if you're lucky, some of them could be resold to a poor country, but at the same time, at a steep discount. Why not sell them a brand new car? But Donald Trump doesn't comprehend any of those things. Slots is broke. You won 100 points. Yeah, it's just very laggy today. Sorry. Kick chat sometimes lags. In my opinion, you shouldn't try to force any system of government on a foreign country, including democracy. Well, forcing it on them, I would say, let's not force it on them. If they're attacking other countries, if they really did house the Taliban and this huge terrorist who's attacking other countries and innocent civilians, I'm okay with some police action working. I'd rather go through the UN than just specifically the America. I would like a world police that is part of the UN, not just America going off wherever the fuck they want to sell more Jeeps and more guns. And Milley was being more forward thinking here by saying, yeah, leave that stuff behind, and if the next actual Afghan government wants more of it, we'll sell it to them. If the new Afghan government wants to fight against the Taliban and all their weapons, we'll sell it to the Afghan government. Milley was being an arms salesman there. He really was. Donald Trump doesn't know that because he's not actually good at business. We should help them see what they're doing wrong. Could show us a thing or two about our system. Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that we need to force them into an American-style democracy and drink Coca-Cola at gunpoint. That's bad. Not on board. But show them some of our benefits and then allow them to experiment and find out if they would like to try it. Give them the internet. Give them access to the world and let them make their own decisions. And if they're harming other countries through terrorism, then you can stomp on them through a world police type system through the UN, I would say. Let's see. What else did we talk about? He rebuilt the military. At 138, he said it again. I rebuilt the military. This is absolute nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. I still don't know what the fuck he's talking about when he says he rebuilt the military. It doesn't mean anything. It's just empty filler nonsense words. And then he kisses Kim Jong-un's ass again. Dictators are good. American politicians that disagree with him are the enemy. And he did. He kissed Kim Jong-un's ass and insulted senators from California. because he's anti-American. 139, he said North Korea wouldn't meet with Obama. Horseshit. 139, he really starts lying. North Korea wouldn't meet with Obama. Obama, back in 2007, talked about meeting with Kim Jong-un. John McCain famously kicked his ass about it in the debate and on the stage and in the media. John McCain said, no, you can't meet with him. It will elevate him and put him on a higher platform. If he gets to meet with the President of the United States, it will make him stronger. And John McCain was right. And he used that misstep by Obama to hammer him, to yell at him and say, you don't have the experience within foreign affairs. Listen to this guy. This guy will just meet with Kim Jong-un. What a buffoon. What an amateur. Doesn't he know that that will elevate Kim Jong-un and make his country stronger? And so Obama abandoned it. He said, oops, I got my ass spanked here. Stop talking about it. I won't push my administration to have sit-down meetings with Kim Jong-un. Donald Trump did, though, and guess what? It made North Korea stronger. Absolutely did. Do we think that North Korea is less strong after meeting with him? No. It elevated them. It did exactly the thing John McCain said it would. It made Kim Jong-un more powerful, more authoritative, and more important on the world stage. It gave him power. Donald Trump made North Korea great again. He made it more powerful. He increased the market share of North Korea by working with them. Clockwork, I appreciate it. You just became a subscriber. Oh my gosh. Thank you very much, sir. You turned a frog gay. You are a frog sexuality engineer now. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So what are we saying? The Taliban isn't attacking foreign countries, though. No, they're not anymore. And I don't think the Taliban ever was. It was Al-Qaeda that was, but not the Taliban. There is a difference. The Americans generally don't know the difference. Afghanistan was being messed with by Russia, and at the time, America literally helped the Taliban. Yeah, we did. And then they got their country back, and America didn't like the government there. Yeah, that's the problem, is that we keep doing proxy wars back and forth in Afghanistan, and it's not helping. We pay the Taliban. Taliban starts to beat the Russians. The Russians pay more money into a proxy group of their own, then those people get in charge, and then we just keep proxy warring back and forth. America was hoping for profits. When they did, they went to plan B. B stands for bomb. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good point, Valor. Plan A, do some diplomacy. Plan B, start bombing. And that is what happened. Yeah, I would agree. And because we want the land, we want do we want the minerals? Sure. Do we want mineral rights to that place? Yes. Do we want them to have a functioning government, much like the other OPEC countries, and sell us our oil? Yes. Or whatever things they have in the ground? Yes. That's the long-term philosophy and planning of the highest level of the actual government, not the president, though. Donald Trump isn't invited to those meetings. I really don't think that they give him the long-term plans, because he's a clown and he'll just spill the beans and say it out loud. He's very bad at keeping secrets. We'll get to that here in a few more minutes, because the Joe Rogan will ask him about secrets. Let's see. He's not in the group chat, Valor. Absolutely right. There are people who run this world, and Donald Trump is not in that group chat. Right now, Afghanistan is doing way better than even before the Americans left. Yeah, and they might be, because the Taliban has been building the schools. They're becoming more of an actual functioning government. And I want that. I want that for them. I want them to function properly. I want them to be a good, right, functioning country and improve themselves. At 140, Donald Trump says their nuclear arsenal is substantial, talking about North Korea. He's an idiot. Again, he got duped. He got tricked. North Korea tricked you into thinking that they have a substantial nuclear arsenal. No. They lied to you. They can barely keep their lights on. They can barely feed their people. At best, they have dirty bombs on unstable missiles that can't go 1,000 miles accurately. Again, everything in North Korea is great, and everything in America sucks, according to Donald Trump. North Korea has a substantial nuclear arsenal. No, the fuck they don't. Fucking idiot. He gets tricked and duped by fucking dictators, and he loves it, and his fans are so on board for it. I don't get it. He's an idiot. He says things that aren't true and then gets tricked. Let's see, 141, 13,099 murderers. According to Donald Trump, 13,099 murderers. That's the exact number of murderers that came into America that Kamala let into the country. That's a very exact number. Where does he get that number? It's impossible for him to know this without very solid documentation. And if they're documented, they're documented, right? You can't say I have 13,099 of something, but they're undocumented. Well, how did you get that number then? Like, where did you get this? No, you had to have counted them. Do you have the list of names? Do we have a number, 13,099, but we don't have any of their names or information? How did you get the number then? Did they check a box when they walked across the thing? Are you a murderer? They said yes. Did he go undercover? Maybe. This is what I'm talking about. This is the thing that I'm saying, that he's just making shit up. Where does he get this number? I'm going to do some research into that. That's the second thing I'm going to research. Maybe on stream, maybe not. Depends on how long I'm on for this morning. But 13,099. Exactly. 13,099 murderers that Kamala let into the country. How the fuck does he know that? Where is he getting these numbers? Where does this information come from? I think it just comes from his brain. He just makes it up and says it. It's impossible for him to know that. And then he talks about the hundreds of thousands of hardened criminals. Hundreds of thousands of hardened criminals coming across the border. Where are you getting this information? How are you knowing this? And if the United States government knows it, we would find evidence of it. We would be able to see it. Then he's on a xenophobic rant for himself. So he starts talking about the Haitians in Springfield, lying about the number of immigrants there, lying that it's a lovely community. It wasn't. It was a shithole. The businesses in that place couldn't hire people because the white people in that place were not showing up to work and were all high on fentanyl. That they probably smuggled in themselves, because it's the white people and the Americans that are smuggling the fentanyl in. So then the American government, in an attempt to help this business, said, hey, I've got these Haitian immigrants. I'll bring them in. You hire them, and we'll boost the economy for this entire community. And that's exactly what happened. The Haitians who came into that Springfield, Ohio community boosted the economy. They increased the workforce. They increased the number of jobs. They increased the number of people paying rent. They increased the number of available houses. They made the houses on the streets better. They found a house that was broke down. They made it better and started paying for it. This is exactly the way immigration is supposed to work. You inject them where you need them, and they increase everything. But Republicans don't like that because they're the wrong skin color, and they don't have they don't speak the language, and we can't get interpreters. They can't get interpreters. According to Donald Trump, the Springfield, Ohio can't get interpreters. Have you tried hiring some? That's another job, motherfucker. That's a job. Good God, wouldn't that be amazing if you got more jobs? We want more jobs, but not interpreting one language to English. You can't get into a hospital. You can't get into a school. There's no room at school because of all these Haitians. There's no room in the hospital for all these Haitians. That's just plain racism and xenophobia. Is an educated Haitian child not worth anything? If the school district in Springfield, Ohio, educates 1,000 white kids, that's good. But if they educate 500 white kids and 500 Haitians, it's a goddamn travesty. It's disgusting, and the Republicans hate it. It's 500 people, not 1,000, because they don't think the Haitians are people. They're not like us. They're different. They cannot be allowed here. Their blood is not allowed on this soil, which is why I don't mind calling them fascists. Really hate Trump just being a joke and saying these ridiculous things. Prompt us left to say I have mostly the reaction of what a joke. Then a Republican hears it and immediately thinks that we're demonizing and not having a rational reaction. Yeah, and I'll talk about that in a minute too, because they start talking about the media here in a few minutes. So hang on to that thought. Where are we? We're at UFC jibber jabber. So at about 1:45 or something like that, they jibber jabber about the UFC for about 15, 20 minutes. I don't care. I'm skipping that. At 2 hours, so they start talking about RFK and making America healthy. Joe Rogan is a big RFK fan because of course he is. RFK says left-leaning cultural things, but then says conspiracy theory nonsense when it comes to health, medicine, healthcare, and your body. And Joe Rogan loves that shit, and so do most of his fans. And then Trump says they're coming up, the big pharma, they're coming up with great things like the polio vaccine. The polio vaccine, which was invented 100 years ago, is that the great thing they're coming up with these days? Donald, it's like 100 years ago, man. Then what do we got? And then Joe says something really stupid. If we can send $175 billion to Ukraine, why can't people get healthier foods in America? What do those two things have to do with each other? Sending military aid is really easy. We build it constantly, and then we sell it to lots of other countries. That's how we make money in America. Selling military supplies. Very simple. But according to him, and sending money, really easy. What really is difficult is changing agricultural companies, changing the giant billion-dollar food-producing companies, and then getting people to eat the good food. That's incredibly complicated. That's incredibly difficult. There is no... I don't avoid vegetables because, I don't eat very well, right? Because I'm an American. And that's because salt and sugar and fat are addictive and they taste good and they make me feel good. My body feels good when I have a hamburger. It's amazing. And if you want to get people to eat good food and be healthier, you're going to have to do a fuckload of work. A huge amount of weight is going to have to shift in how those big agricultural companies operate, how the billion-dollar food companies operate, what they put in and what they don't, and the chemicals they put in, because they're putting addictive fat and sugar in there. Of course they are. And that's addictive. And you can't just tell people to be healthier and expect it to work. It's fucking insane. The polio thing is something they're still making vaccines for because copies of the virus still exist. They can use it more. Well, yeah, and that's fine. If that's what they were talking about, it was confusing and written, and he said it in such a dumb way. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. This doesn't surprise me that there are weaponized versions of polio and stuff like that going out there, and that there are drug companies making vaccines to those weaponized versions. That's good. That's great. That's not what he told me. He's just bad at messaging, I suppose. It's fucked up. Maybe they should be changed. I'd kill for a burger. Yeah, exactly. For legal purposes. That was a joke. You have to negotiate with the other countries. Yeah. Other people you mean. Yeah. I totally dig the idea that drug companies still need to be making vaccines and stuff like that. And that sounds good. I'm fine with that. But I don't like the way that RFK has it all planned out. He has some, RFK has some good points, and those good points are drown in his madness and his nonsense and his horse shit. And then we do the weave again at 2:09, and at 2:10, Donald Trump says he won the second election, which is the biggest complaint I have about the man. I have, number one, my main complaint about Donald Trump is that he lies about the 2020 election. He says that he won. At 2 minutes and 10 seconds in that Joe Rogan, he says, I won that second election. And then they fucking misunderstand the press entirely. If I were a Democrat, I would get a lot of positive press, says Donald Trump. No, motherfucker, you wouldn't. Horseshit. If you were a Dem, they would have purity tested you and tossed you out because you are the most unclean. They would have tossed you out of the party. You wouldn't be able to run as a Democrat. They chase people out for having a single affair. You've had dozens. They forced Al Franken out for pretending to honk boobs one time, a decade before he was actually a senator. Once he became a senator a Twitter shithead brought up a photo of him pretending to honk a woman's boobs while she was asleep. He didn't actually touch her. He just did a funny photo. Like, am I molesting Darth Vader right now? No. See how I'm not actually touching him? That's what he did. And they took a photo of that. And they said, okay, you can't be a senator anymore. That's what the Dems did. They didn't put it up for a vote. They just said, hey, you're not allowed to be a senator anymore. They didn't show up for Al Gore because he was connected to Bill Clinton. If you're a Democrat and you said the shit that Donald Trump says, they would have ignored you and shunned you if you tried to run. And you would be jumping to the right. You'd be jumping off to the Republican Party, just like Elon did, just like Tulsi Gabbard, just like RFK Jr. So this madness, this horse shit that they say, if I were on the Democrat side, the news would be saying nice things about me. Nonsense. No, they wouldn't. You're full of shit. Someone lost their chances at the president because he screamed weird at a rally. Exactly. John Dean said he went, yeah, one time. And then the entire news media dumped on him and said, this guy is a ridiculous clown. We cannot vote for him. And he lost his chance to run for president because he screamed one time at a rally. Who was that other guy that, and if you have an affair, they distance themselves. They stop paying attention to you because you had an affair. It's just a whole thing that there's 1,000 things that Donald Trump has done and said that would have gotten him kicked out of the Dems, and he wouldn't get nice things said about him in the news. He lives in a fantasy world where they think that the media acts as the propaganda arm for the Dems. Christ almighty, have you guys never understood anything at all? All political stories begin on the right. All political stories begin there. J.D. Vance reads a Facebook Kermit the Frog meme about Haitians eating cats, and then the news talks about it. And then Trump says it as it's a fact, as if it is a fact, to Kamala he says it on stage as if it's a fact. Did that happen during the debate with Kamala? I think it did. Yeah, it did. He says it as if it's a fact to Kamala during the debate. Now Kamala has to talk about it. Now the news has to cover her reaction. Then they investigate, and they send their roving reporters to Springfield, Ohio, and then we have to watch that. And then Twitter makes 1 million fake videos and posts, and then the reporters report on the fake news and look into that because that's all reporters do anymore is just watch fucking Twitter all day. Just pay attention to where stories come from, and you'll notice that they all come from the right. They wake up in the morning and decide what the entire country is going to be talking about today. The Ground Zero Mosque, the migrant caravans, fentanyl, green M&Ms, trans bathrooms, kitty litter in schools. Kamala didn't actually work at McDonald's. The right misunderstands a thing, then the media has to play defense and tell the actual story. The right creates a delusion, and then the media has to find the reality and broadcast it afterward. The right spreads fear, and then the media has to assuage that fear and figure out what actually is happening and why you shouldn't be afraid of it. The media is always on defense against right-wing madness. Joe Rogan and fucking Donald Trump don't recognize this. They can't see it because they're stupid. My mirror is a lying political cuck. I definitely look better than that. Yeah, exactly. I'm not bald. I have a full head of hair. See? And before the story is clear, the world will have moved on. Yeah, exactly. So the lie gets around the world, and everybody hears it and knows it, and then the facts come out later, and nobody cares anymore. That is the entire American media apparatus right now. It is broken, and it is broken for profit. But I don't want to rant about capitalism right now because we still only at 2 hours and 11 minutes. Let's see. God, 2 hours and 13. Joe says the rebels are the conservatives now. Boomer ass take. The Dems are silencing criticism. Fucking boomer ass take. Have you been on social media? Elon Musk is giving away money to people to vote, and it's probably illegal, and it should be illegal, everything that he's doing. He's promoting gigantic falsehoods all the time on his social media platform that he owns, and if he doesn't like what you say, he suppresses you. Donald Trump is promising to use the government to harm the TV stations that say things he doesn't like. That's exactly what the First Amendment was supposed to protect us from. The government stomping on your rights. Not people arguing with you in Twitter comments or not talking to you anymore at the Thanksgiving table because you're supporting a fascist. That's not against your free speech. Facebook is allowed to block you for the things that you type on Facebook. That's not against your First Amendment rights. What is against your First Amendment rights is when the government goes after TV stations because they were mean to the president. That's anti-First Amendment, and that is what Donald Trump is promising to do. These people do not understand what the Constitution is or says or means or does or why it's there. They imagine that it is just a weapon they get to hit their enemies with. What do you think of all the transgender stuff? We can go into that here in just a minute because they are going to talk about that. We'll bring that up. What stuff? Yeah. We'll talk about that in just a minute because that is coming up. 2:15. I never said lock her up. Donald lying his ass off. I never said lock her up. You know, I tried to keep that stuff down. I never said anything about putting her in jail. Christ almighty, that's the most amazing lie I've ever heard. During the debate with Hillary, he said, you'd be in jail. He said that to her live on TV. And Joe Rogan laughed about it 1 hour ago in this conversation. He said that. He brought it up at about 5 minutes in. He said, yeah, it was so funny when you told her she'd be in jail. Now, at 2 hours and 15, I never said lock her up. I never threatened to put her in jail. I saved her from jail. I saved her from going to jail. Comey had it. Comey came out onto the stage and read this whole list of crimes and then said she was innocent in all of them so he could protect her. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Comey hated her. That's why he dropped that investigation information in October, because it would hurt her. Comey wanted to hurt her and you wanted her hurt, so you screamed about it. And then Donald Trump said that Comey said she was innocent of all these things. Donald Trump, at about 2:15 in this thing, exonerates Hillary. Guys, I never want to hear about her buttery males again. Trump just told us she was innocent. And he tried to protect her. This happened. I can't believe it happened. But that's what happened. Lock her up was a Mandela effect. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, either the voters don't have memory or they engage in politics selfishly and dishonestly. Yeah, exactly. I think it's number two. He said that she was innocent and that he never came after her. And he never said lock her up, even though we can see him say it literally on screen. You can find it. You can look at it. And you can see him say you'd be in jail. You can see him tweet and scream about how she's a criminal and she's breaking the law and all of these things need to be investigated. And she's a criminal and she's just terrible in the past. But right now he's saying, I tried to save her. And it's the Dems who are persecuting me. It's the Dems who are using the DOJ to come after me, not me going after them. He's a gigantic super duper liar and will lie right to your face about the things that you can see happening. And it's unbelievable. It's amazing that he was Hillary Clinton's biggest fan and protected her and kept her safe. And James Comey did all the things he did in October, 1 month, less than a month before the election, because he was trying to protect her. He brought charges against her and said she was innocent of them live on TV to help her. That's what buttery males is what lost her the election. You absolute cretin, you moron. The world is a different color to Donald Trump. It really is. Everything is backward and upside down, and it is whatever he wants it to be at any given moment. Hillary was last week Hillary was a criminal who could not be accepted. She was a horrible nightmare monster who was stealing the country, and she's a fascist communist, radical leftist who was ruining the entire country. But today, she's exonerated, and he protected her, and she's innocent of all the things that they said she did. I don't know what it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so yeah, Trump is a walking phrase of whoever smelt a Delta. Yeah, kind of. He shits all over you and then tells you stop shitting on yourself. 217. Joe asks him about 2020 again. And Trump rambles about debunked conspiracy theories. Joe asks him, are you ever going to present any of this ever? And Trump's like, yeah, I did. I put all this stuff out in a book. And I let everybody know about these election conspiracies. They've all been debunked. Joe, honey, listen, Joe, buddy. He already has put all this stuff out in court and been found, and it's been found that these are incredulous lies. He misunderstands election law. He creates truth of, he misunderstands election law. He creates delusions from liars, and he spreads fear from crazy people. He did not win in 2020. The evidence does not show that he won. He has manufactured a bunch of horse shit, a bunch of dog shit, a bunch of bullshit, and packaged it and gives it to stupids. And then those stupids hold it up and say, look, there's the proof. But it's all been debunked. None of it's real. Then, Christ almighty, my favorite part. 2 hours and 20 minutes. We get on to Hunter's laptop. Okay. I need everybody, chat, please type something if you've never heard of Hunter's laptop. They cried, they complained, they whined that Hunter's laptop was censored. Motherfucker, censored. It has its own Wikipedia page. Twitter did censor it according to their own rules about leaked info for a whopping 24 hours. And in those 24 hours, Trump was on TV screaming bloody murder about it. CNN would not shut the fuck up about Hunter Biden's laptop. MSNBC would not shut the fuck up about Hunter Biden's laptop. Fox News is still to this day won't shut the fuck up about Hunter Biden's laptop. It's the most famous laptop in the world. And Donald Trump yesterday said it was censored. And that's why he lost in 2020. What madness is this? How do you get to this point? I don't get it. You're on TV screaming about it. It's well known. It has a Wikipedia page. Everybody everywhere is talking about it all the time for months. But because Twitter blocked people from linking to it for 24 hours, and after that 24 hours, they allowed it. You can go on there and read about fucking Hunter Biden's laptop all day long, 24 hours after the story broke. You could. But in that 24-hour window, apparently, that's what caused Donald Trump to lose the election. Can he only get votes by Twitter linking to the laptop story? How does this make sense? How does Twitter blocking a story for 24 hours equal you, Donald Trump, getting 7 million fewer votes than Biden? How does Twitter blocking a story for 24 hours equal you getting fewer votes? It doesn't. Doesn't make any sense. You're a lunatic. You just connecting a grievance you have with another grievance you have and saying that that's one caused the other. It doesn't. There is a scam in our elections. Listen, there is a scam. And it's the fact that if Donald Trump had gotten 6.9 million fewer votes than Joe Biden, he would have won. Now, there's a fucking scam, if you ask me. There's some unfairness. There's some cheating. Donald Trump gets 6.9 million fewer votes and he wins. Sounds like a scam. How shitty is your campaign if one story loses you the election? Yeah, exactly. I can recognize that. Did Twitter block it for 24 hours? Yes. But everybody else was talking about it. It was on the news. It was on CNN. And after that 24 hours, the Twitter people were like, okay, well, we can't contain this. It's literally everywhere, all over the place. It's on every TV station right now. We stopped, then they stopped blocking it. How did that cause you to lose votes? It didn't. He's just full of shit. He's just making shit up and screaming about some imagined slight. Hunter's laptop was censored. Censored. It's the most talked about fucking thing on the internet. It was trending on, well, not on Twitter. After that 24 hours, it probably was trending.
Turn the friggin' frog gay.
Amelia Dazzle, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. You just turned a frog gay. You just turned a frog gay. I'm very proud of you. Thank you very much. So yeah, it was not censored. And even if it was censored for a few minutes, it stopped being. And we all got to find out about it. And then they pissed and moaned about it for a couple of minutes. And he said that it was that 51 intelligence agency members, he misconstrues what actually happened. I can definitely see how dedicated you are to your YouTube channel. It's inspiring. Thank you very much. So yeah, it was. Then they complained about Russia a little bit more. There were 50 people. Yeah, Tucker Carlson had copies of data, but then it got lost in the mail. And that's nonsense. That's not real. He had nothing. Tucker Carlson's lying. The 51, and this is a right-wing talking point. It really is. The 51 intelligence agencies that said the laptop was from Russia, and they lied. The 51 intelligence agencies said that it was a Russian laptop, and they were liars. They need to be brought up on charges. No. That's not what those 51 people said. Those 51 people made nuanced arguments. Donald Trump can't handle nuance. Either it's from Russia or it's not. It's the worst thing ever or it's the best thing ever. He can't handle gray, middle-of-the-road arguments. Those 51 intelligence agents said that the things that were on the laptop had been hacked and manipulated. And the manipulation looked similar to tricks that Russia uses to create fake stories. That's what they said. But what is Donald Trump here? It's a Russian laptop. It's not from Russia. It's not a Russian laptop. They're liars. Thanks, Amelia. I appreciate that. Editing is complicated and difficult. And it takes just as long to edit as it does to do the streams. So yeah, he can't do nuance. He can't do it. If you said, hey, I think the Russians hacked some stuff from Hunter and then put it onto a laptop and they manipulated it to make it seem more nefarious than it actually is, it's a Russian laptop, you're a liar. I'll look into it, Amelia. I don't have any money. That's why I do it all myself. Then at 2:26, he takes shots at Tim Walz. Joe says he was lying about being in Tiananmen Square, and he was exaggerating that. And you can call that a lie if you want to, but it was 1983. Okay. Tim Walz said he was, at one point, he said he was there for a Tiananmen Square. He was actually there 1 month after that. There was still a bunch of shit going on. There was still a lot of shit going wild, but it was 1983. He was off by a month. Joe Rogan, listen, if you don't like liars, I got some bad news for you about this Trump guy. And you're talking to him right now. He's lying right to your face. So yeah, do I forgive Tim Walz for that? Yes. Why? Because he's pushing progressive ideas. He's pushing leftist agenda. I will forgive the lie he told in 1983. And I'm strong enough to say that. I'm not going to forgive Donald Trump, who's still lying. He lied yesterday about what happened in 2020. Did it again. If you don't like liars, I'm sorry, you can't support this Trump guy. Then at 2 minutes 29, they did some more xenophobia, but Joe asks him, why are the Dems bringing in all of these billions and trillions of illegal immigrants? And Donald Trump says they hate our country, or they're stupid, or they want to buy votes. Motherfucker, Elon is buying votes right now for you, and you're super on board for it. But those are white people in Pennsylvania he's buying votes from, so that makes it better. The Dems are not bringing people in because they hate our country. Bringing in immigrants, kind of an American thing to do. It's the stupid, ignorant Republicans who think that America is a white country that don't want you to bring immigrants in. Or they're buying votes. They're not buying votes. These people aren't allowed to vote. If they're not citizens. They're not allowed to vote. Giving them a path to citizenship would allow them to become citizens, and that makes sense because we don't want a second-class, indentured class. We don't want a second-class, indentured population of people who can't get citizenship but are here doing all the hard labor. It's kind of like slavery, but with extra steps. We don't like that. We don't want that. If they're here and they're working and they're following the rules, which statistics say that they are, give them a pathway to citizenship. I don't know why they would be against it unless they're racist, which is why it's okay to call them racist. Let's see. 232, more 2020 election conspiracies, mail-in ballots are a bad thing, and voter ID misunderstanding, delusion of fear. So Joe Rogan doesn't understand why I'm against voter ID. And I'll tell you, he says specifically, no one's ever explained it to me in a way. Why do we have to have the voter IDs? Joe, the Republicans want the voter IDs so they can suppress the vote of the people they don't like. Usually black people, usually young people, usually people in an inner city. If you register to vote, they double check your residency, they double check that you're on the rolls, they double check your address, they double check your IDs, they double check that you are actually registered properly and you are an American citizen. They check your citizenship when you register. There's no reason to do it again when you go to vote. When you go to vote in person, you tell them your name, and if your name isn't on that list, they either give you a provisional ballot, and that is counted or not counted. If you are not allowed to vote, they don't count it. If your name isn't on that list, they'll figure out where you're supposed to be going, because you still have voting districts and shit like that. You're supposed to go to a certain place so that you can vote. And if you have already voted, if you showed up and said, hey, my name's John Smith, and they say John Smith already voted today, then they'll put a mark next to that, and they'll figure out, they'll not count that vote, probably. We have systems in place to take care of this. Why do we not want a photo ID on the day of voting? Because they will only check the IDs of the black people voting or the young people voting, and they'll say you have to have a driver's license. They'll give them the runaround. Black man walks up to vote. 17 white people in front of him did not get their IDs checked, but that black man will get his ID checked. And they'll say, oh, hey, wait a minute, hang on. Do you have your ID? And he'll pull out his driver's license, and they'll be like, okay, great. Well, I mean, this looks kind of fake to me. Do you have your Social Security card? And then he'll say, no, I don't have my Social Security card, and they will send him away. Situated in another, this is a delusion within my head, maybe, but I've got things to back it up on. If he did not have a driver's license, they would send him away. And he only had, if this hypothetical black man comes up there, does not have his driver's license because he doesn't drive, he's going to not be able to vote. If you live in an inner city, you might not have a driver's license because you don't drive. Lots of students who live on campuses don't have driver's licenses because they don't need to drive. They would tie the driver's license, if they don't like the look of you, to your ability to vote. This was very similar to the IQ tests or the literacy tests that used to happen. A long time ago, America in the South had literacy tests to determine whether or not you're allowed to vote. And it was filled with trick questions that are impossible to get right if the person giving you the test doesn't want you to get them right. Turn down a little bit. Thank you. If the person giving you the literacy test does not want you to get it right, you won't get it right. If the person checking your ID doesn't want you to vote, you won't have the right ID. And they'll look at it and be like, hey, this kind of seems fake to me. Do you have your Social Security card? And then when you say no, they'll tell you to go get it and then get at the back of the line and wait in line another 8 hours. The check has already been done. The ID has already been determined when you registered. It's not necessary to do it again in person. Let's see, 238, transphobia. So at 238, we get into transphobia. I know, I think you asked about it a few minutes ago, Tim. 238, he starts being transphobic again, complaining why men competing in women's sports. Johnny, Joe, listen, trans women are women. That's why they should play in the women's sports. If you've got a liar on your hands and you've got somebody who wants a world record and he chooses to pretend to be trans so that he can get the woman's record and get his name in the book, you've got a problem of capitalism. As usual, all our problems come back to capitalism. Why does this man who isn't trans want to pretend to be at the women's league so that he can get famous, so that he can have his name up there, so that he can get sponsorship deals, so that he can make money? If it's just for the love of the sport, he won't do that. But everything in America is tied to a dollar. Having a world record for something like that is money making. If there are men transitioning so that they can beat the women, they're doing it not out of the love of the game. They're doing it for money so that they can make money, because the profit-seeking motive is the problem here. Why should transgenders be allowed to be in women's sports? Because they're women. Simple. Done. Over. That's it. And if you think that they're being disingenuous, then have them have a handful of hoops that they have to go through before they can compete in the women's division. You have to be on estrogen for this many years. You have to be without testosterone, or you have to be even post-op. Honestly, set those rules, and I'm fine with it. It doesn't matter. They set rules for testosterone and stuff like that anyway. Do you think we divided men and women in different sport groups because of a belief in their head or because of real differences? There are differences between men and women, sure. I'm not saying that there aren't. But why should their opinion of what they are matter more than reality? Their opinion, your choosing of gender is your reality. It is reality. Gender is a choice that you make. Always has been. It's just that nobody was allowed to make the different choices. Let me finish with this, and then we'll come back to it, because I'm at 242 already. 242, they fearmonger about the Glenn Youngkin story. I'll look into that probably later. 242, the JFK files come up. Conspiracy nonsense, conspiracy bait. Vote for me and I'll open the JFK files, says Donald Trump. It's a good grift on his part, honestly. The JRE audience loves the conspiracy bait shit. 245, we're almost done, I promise. Aliens conspiracy bait. Joe asks him about aliens and shit like that, and he wiffle waffles, and he does the weave again, saying that Mars has life. What? He's an idiot. Let's see, 247, he says China would not do the balloon while he was a president, but that's a lie because they absolutely did. He just didn't know it, and his people didn't tell him about it because he would freak out and yell and scream and yell at them and fire them. 2 minutes and 50 seconds, 2 hours and 50 minutes. Religious conspiracy theories about we have weapons today that are so scary and I rebuilt them. Religious conspiracy theories that Joe's audience will eat up. And then he escalated nuclear war. China and Russia were going to de-escalate, but I rebuilt all of America's nuclear weapons, and he's proud of that. I don't get it. I don't get it. He escalated nuclear war, and he's like, I'm the anti-war president because I got us more nukes. I don't get it. I really don't. Like, what? According to Donald Trump, the nuclear weapons we had fewer nuclear weapons, and he gave us more, and that makes us more safe from nuclear war. I don't get it. I really don't. And then at 251, what can you do now about Ukraine? He wouldn't tell us. So Joe said, what do you do about Ukraine? And he said, I can't tell you. If I tell you what happened right now, if I told you the things that I'm going to tell Putin and Zelensky, then somebody would steal it. Kamala would steal my brilliant idea, and then she would do it, and she would get all the praise, and then she would win the election. After the election, when I'm president-elect, I will put them down, and I will make them stop. I suspect this is the exact same plan he had earlier, where he just tells them to stop. Just like when he was calling Abdul Taliban, he was calling him to say he'd stop shooting the soldiers. He's going to stop. He's going to call Putin and tell them to stop. Let's see. At 253, he mentions tariff wars again, and that France might, and how he when he was the president tried to put a tariff on France, and then France backed out of doing something else. So I'm going to look into whether or not that's true. And then he got companies build chips in America. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, at 254, almost the end. We're almost done. He complains about car companies, promises tariffs, but then he still doesn't know what a tariff is, and he thinks that Biden is dumb for the CHIPS Act and trying to get companies to build chips in America. He pisses and moans, cries and screams about how all the chips are, Donald Trump complains that all the chips are built in Taiwan and that they need to be built in America by putting a tariff on everything, getting companies to build chips in America. But that's what Joe Biden did with the CHIPS Act. You said Joe Biden's an idiot for the CHIPS Act, trying to get people to build the chips in America. And what you need to do is tariff so that people will build the chips in America. Christ, he doesn't know that he's saying insane things. Outsourcing was not a government program. It was a cost-saving measure that companies took so they could squeeze another nickel out of every unit sold. Not a government policy. You can create government policies to prevent outsourcing, but I'd rather that than these tariffs, because I don't think he knows how tariffs work, and he is a maniac. Now, what are we talking about in chat? Really about the stuff that's women's sports to male and female sports, and then the issue is gone. Well, who cares? Because it's all a woman about them, and the phrase is renaming them to male, woman, and every other aspect of that naming enforcement. Trans women are women. If they want to compete in women's sports, I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit. This is not some world-altering issue. It really isn't. But the right turns it into an issue. The people on the right have made this a gigantic central issue that's super important, and it's life-altering. It's fucking not. It's not that damn big a deal. If you want those people transitioning into the women's sports to go through a set of hurdles before you allow them, I'm fine with that. And I think they would be fine with that as well. You have to be on hormones for this many years. You have to be this kind of age. If you started hormones 5 minutes ago, you're not allowed. Whether or not you've had the surgery, you can create a medical list of things that you must do before you're allowed to. And I think that's fine, and the whole problem goes away. Don't even have to come to what according to these people did. You can change your pronouns anytime you want. And that's fine. Who cares? Who fucking cares? If there is someone who disingenuously is saying they're a woman, so just so they can get on the girls' team and break all the records, this is a problem with society. Not the sport, not the women, not the people. The problem is with the profit-seeking motive of our society, the glory-seeking motive of our society, the power and authority you have from breaking those records gets you paid tomorrow. So that's why they're doing it. The auto mod stopped your last one, Tim Philosophy. I'm reading it. It says, okay, they are not women just because they cut off body parts and change a word. They are, because you get to choose your gender. Simple. That's it. Gender is a choice you make. Sex isn't. And once you're on board for that, everything simplifies. Man, the whole world gets way easier, Tim, once you accept that idea. Gender is a spectrum. And if you are too far along that spectrum to be in women's sports, then I'm okay with that. If the Women's Sports League says, hey, you have to go through these steps and you haven't finished step 7, 8, and 9, you're not allowed in the Women's Sports League, I'm okay with that. The league can handle this. This isn't a government issue. Why is the president talking about this? Why is the government trying to get involved in this? Because they want control. The Republicans take this issue so that they can control what people look like and who gets to be a part of our society. What they're doing is trying to keep out the people that they think are icky. When Donald Trump says the Haitians are eating the dogs and the cats, that's because he's xenophobic. When he screams about the your kid going to school and coming back then later that afternoon with a sex change operation, he's being a liar. He doesn't want these people. He doesn't want them to be here. He's anti-freedom, and I don't like that. I don't think that's happening a lot. I don't think it's happening almost at all. There's 7 trans people in the entire fucking country, and only 3 of them want to play sports, and the fucking president has to weigh in on it every 5 fucking minutes. Way overblown. I think most of them really believe they are. Well, yeah, because they are. That doesn't make it fair or factual. Yes, it does. It's a choice. There's nothing factual about gender. You can choose which ones you are. When we made these groups, no one thought of man and woman as a social thing. It is a social thing. It always has been. Just because you didn't know it doesn't mean it wasn't. They saw it as the same as male and a female, right? And they were wrong. So let's rename it to align with these people's terms. Still be a thing. Backwards. We want this, and then we should remove. I think it is moving backwards. I would agree with that. You are moving backwards. We are progressing. Is male and female? Does female and male exist? Yes. Is gender a spectrum? Yes. And you're like, no. We got to rename it. We got to bring it backwards slightly. We want this, then we should just remove the categories altogether. Yes, gender abolitionism, absolutely, and have all the women just be in the low tiers because they can't compete with males. Fine, I don't care. Gender abolitionism, I'm on board. No such thing as gender anymore. I don't want 2 genders. I don't want 65 genders. I want infinite number of genders. I want the number of genders to equal the number of colors on the color wheel, which is technically infinite. It's a huge issue for 0.1% of the athletes. Yeah, I know. Not also, yes, but you should remove the categories. Yeah, the rip of female sports and women and just fail at sport. Yes. I don't mind that. Well, don't say people will beat your ass, Fowler. We're being nice. We like Tim philosophy here. Even when we disagree with him, we don't say that somebody would beat their ass. Behave. And they're over-exaggerating because fear and disgust is the most powerful thought in a Republican conservative type person's brain. Yeah, she was a boxer. She wasn't trans. They said she was because they're stupid. Well, maybe somebody can beat her. I'm sure someone can. She wasn't trans, though. That's the issue. The Russians literally lied about her being trans, and then stupid people in America jumped on it and repeated it. And instead of finding out new information and recognizing that it wasn't true, they doubled down, they tripled down until the story died down, and they still believe that she is. They've been lied to, but that lie makes them feel good. You see, the conservatives like it if the lie makes them feel good. If the truth makes them feel good, that's even super. That's super duper double, triple. But in the absence of truth that makes them feel good, they will cling to lies that make them feel good. They will cling to the fantasy. And I think that the Republicans, and Donald Trump especially, and the one conservative chatter we had in YouTube chat today, cling to those fantasies. At least J.K. Rowling finally got in trouble because of that. Yeah, and she's in trouble. She's still a billionaire that lives in a mansion, in a castle. She doesn't live in a mansion. Fuck you. She lives in a castle. Swallow, you want to believe in something called gender. No, I want it to be gone. Do you believe? I don't believe anything, Tim philosophy. This is probably something that you and I didn't talk about last time. I don't have any beliefs. 0. And I think the belief is a weakness of the brain. You can think or you can believe. You can't do both. Too much thinking will make it hard to believe anything. Too much believing, you won't be able to think any longer. That's what Trump fans do all day. They believe. They believe in small government. They believe in tax and spend. Or in Donald Trump. They believe a man is a man and a woman is a woman. They believe in Jesus. They believe in trickle-down economics. They believe in small government. They believe in all these things. They can't think, you see. They believe instead of thinking because what's that Descartes quote? I think, therefore I am. I think there's more to that. Waldo would add, I believe, therefore I am manipulated. That's what I would add to that. Belief is dangerous and a weakness of the brain. I don't believe that there are genders. I think that genders are a thing that we talk about, is a social construct that exists. Sure. I don't believe in them. I don't believe the sky is blue. I think that it is, based on my own observations, and the people that I listen to, and the people that I trust tell me that it's blue. I can see it. It looks blue to me. The people I trust say it's blue, and lots of song lyrics talk about the blue sky. So I think that it is. If you show me enough evidence to change my mind, I'll change my mind. Is there sex? That is a category, yes. Do you agree that the human species is sexually dimorphic? Yes. That's a biological thing. I'm on board. Valor, your last one got auto-modded as well. This is dangerous territory, guys. Biology is a fact. It cannot be rejected. Well, it can be changed. It can be dealt with. It can be ignored. It can be rerouted. We can inject chemicals to change that biology. Happens all the time. I can start taking testosterone right now and get some of my hair back. I just don't want to. I can rub a bunch of testosterone cream right up here, and I'll get more hair probably. I just don't want to. If I took a bunch of internal testosterone, I would start acting more like a 19-year-old. I would. It's not a good thing. I don't want to do that. So wouldn't it make more sense to divide sports using sex, just like we have weight classes and don't ask how fat do you feel? Okay, great. Well, let's separate it by genders. It's already separated by gender. This isn't a problem, man. This isn't a problem. You are spending tons of time, tons of your brain power on a thing that doesn't matter. If you and I spent the next 19 hours arguing about Darth Vader, does it matter? Not really. We might have fun doing it. It might be an enjoyable exercise for us. We might create a tier list of Sith lords and put them on the tier list from A to F. And then if my tier list is different than yours, who gives a fuck? You're spending a lot of time and a lot of effort on things that just don't care, that doesn't matter at all. Have the sports league, have the women's league set some rules down. Testosterone will make you lose hair. If it's in your body, it makes you lose hair, Tim. But if you look at the ingredients on those fucking creams that you put on there, there's testosterone in it. It's very strange. Too much testosterone makes you lose your hair. That's why I'm a very manly man, and my gender is affirmed by that kind of thing, and I choose to look the way I do. Yeah, to some extent. I mean, there's some things that you can't control biologically, but I choose to be the gender that I am. I choose not to paint my nails. It's not a thing that I would like to do, but I could. I could wear a dress. I don't want to, but I could if I chose to, because that's a gendered thing, and you can choose those things. Yeah, that's called gynecomastia, which is kidney disease, obesity, marijuana, liver disease, alcohol, and so on. Yeah. What are we talking about? Oh, yeah. We're not going into the intersex things. No. I don't care about gynecomastia. Gender is a spectrum. You can choose where you are on that spectrum. End of story. That's it. If I choose to paint one pinky nail black, am I no longer a man? No, that wouldn't make any sense. What if I choose to paint one of them pink? Am I no longer a man? Of course I am. I'm just moving 1% on that spectrum. It doesn't make the human species non-sexually dimorphic. Yeah, exactly. If I choose to wear a dress, does that make me less of a man? It just moves my gender around. Gender is a giant spectrum of infinite possibility. And if the women's sports want to set numbers that you have to achieve to be in the women's league, I accept that. That's fine. They can do that. That has nothing to do with the fucking government. That has nothing to do with the president. That has nothing to do with the person who's running for office right now. It's insane that this is an issue at their level. It's not at their level. The right just likes to scream about it. 81 million Americans who voted for Biden are going to vote for a candidate who has been charged with crimes because he tried to illegally disenfranchise their votes. Yeah, doesn't seem like 81 million Americans who voted for Biden are going to vote for a candidate. Yeah, Jennifer Williams, I think that Kamala's in the lead, quietly. I think the news media is lying about how far she is in the lead because they need it to be a horse race. They need us to watch every day. They need us to check in every day. They need us to turn on CNN and look at that 1%. That's my guess right now anyway. I could be wrong. The color of his nails doesn't make you a man or woman. Exactly. But it is, Tim, is not the color of my nails and the fact on whether or not I paint them part of gender. Painting your nails is a gendered activity, generally. Black is usually for emo dudes, but painting my nails red right now would be a gendered activity. That would move my gender on this infinite gender spectrum. How about having a female sex as a requirement like it always was? And there are other people saying, hey, we are also women. We would like to be in there. Set some rules. If they set the rules, man, listen, Tim, if they set the rules and say 0 trans people allowed, I'm fine with that. I really am. I'll still call the trans women women, and they won't be able to get in there, and it won't be on the news. And I don't think that the president gives a shit. This is not a federal, countrywide issue that needs to be argued every 5 goddamn minutes. Because it is. You know how often this fucking subject comes up on my fucking streams? Constantly. Because people are fucking insane about it, and I don't know why. Trans women are women. The women's sports leagues can set up whatever rules they want. Problem go away. If that makes for unhappy trans people, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can come here and yell at me. But they're a sports league. They're allowed to set up their own rules. If you don't like the rules they've set up, start up your own league. Change the rules. Convince them to change the rules. Go and write them a nice, lovely, wonderful, well-written, genuine letter from your soul telling them why you should be there. Don't get the government involved. Why is the government involved? That's insane. It's not a government issue. Nothing turns you into a woman. You are born a woman. If you are unlucky, you discover that later. And I totally get what you're saying there, Valor, but I would be even more free with it. You can change your gender if you like. If you don't like it, if you find out that you don't like that thing, stop doing it. You do not discover it later. You are born a woman, and you know every second you are naked and look down. No, Tim philosophy, that's insane. I'm tired of this tirade now too. Yeah. Again, it's inventing a cultural problem for 0.01% of the athletes. Yeah, exactly. This is a culture war that benefits the right. So they keep pushing it. They keep pushing it. This benefits them. When they point this shit out, I say things that about there being no genders and an infinite number of them. And then they get to point at me and say, look at this Looney Tune. Look at this fucking crazy person. He's going to hurt your children. A long time ago. Everybody's seen The Simpsons, right? The woman on The Simpsons, she goes, won't someone please think of the children? That was an insult. Okay? When they said that on The Simpsons, it was insulting the people who say that. But now, the people who say, won't someone please think of the children, are running the entire Republican Party. I would like to insult them again. I would like for them to go back to being a joke instead of being in charge. Biologically trans people post-bottom surgery are actually the gender they claim to be. Yeah, exactly. I'm not being a trans medicalist. That's a stance that you take. You're not actually a woman until you go through the full surgeries. Not a stance I would take. Gender is an infinite spectrum. And you can be on that place, on that spectrum, wherever you want to be. Because I like human freedom. It's where I base all of my ideas. Human freedom. You are free to paint your nails black, or you're free to paint them pink, or you're free to wear a dress. I don't care. Clearly know how to took surgery in a fake. Yeah. And because that freedom has consequences, sometimes you will be denied certain things. You just will. You can't be wafishly thin on Monday and then gigantic jacked with huge muscles on Tuesday. Nobody can. Doesn't work. Even if you feel like it. You can't lose a lot of weight just because you think it. Some things have consequences. You can't eat a whole bunch of Girl Scout cookies and then be super thin. I can't anyway. That's not a choice I get to make. But I can make choices to get myself to the place I want to be. And if I want to be in women's sports, the Women's Sports League needs to set up a list of rules. That's all. They can. They already have rules for steroids. They already have rules for participation. They already have rules for age. They already have rules for doping and taking a bunch of testosterone. That's a problem with women's sports. It always has been. Women who produce testosterone naturally, or women who are taking it, or women who do produce it and are taking it on the side so they can get a little bit better. These are issues that they need to deal with. This is not an issue for the government to deal with. This is not an issue for the entire fucking country to have a goofy ass debate about. Nonsense. I'm about to wrap it up, you guys. I really am. It's already 12:41. It's longer than I usually go. Hope you can understand why they're called Thin Mints. No, these are the tag-alongs. These are the peanut butter ones. I have some Thin Mints in the freezer downstairs. Thin Mints. Put them in the freezer. Then eat them with a Coca-Cola. Fantastic. Trust me, you'll love it. Do you apply the same logic to other stuff? Like, can I identify as black or fat or a cat? Can I be an overweight African-American cat woman? You can adopt the black culture. You can. You can adopt the black mannerisms. You can adopt the language. I'm okay with that. You can't change your race. Nobody can. The ability to do that isn't existing. There are some surgeries that can let you change your sex. You can have some gender affirming surgeries. You can do that. We have those. We have the technology for that. That's why it is a transition. You cannot transition to be black. You can adopt their language. You can adopt their ideology and their entire culture if you feel like it. And will they be mad at you? Maybe. Cats, no. I would say you can't change your species either. Why are you mad, lol? Anyway, nobody's mad. Black is a label that the West gives most people with the darkest skin tone. It's just like being Jewish, okay? So listen, Tim Philosophy, I'm going to give you the thing. There's 3 things to being Jewish. You can be ethnically Jewish, meaning you're born that way. You can be religiously Jewish, and you can be culturally Jewish. So you do the things that they do on a regular basis. You avoid eating the certain foods. You are ethnically born that way. You are a part of the religion, or you can do the things that they do, like taking the holidays off and stuff like that, and being just a part, going to the deli. You know, you can do all those things. You can do 2 of those things, or you can do 1 of those things, or you can do none of them. I specifically do none of them, but there is someone who could do 1, or there's someone who could do the other, or there's someone who could do the third, or there's somebody who could do 1 and 2, or there's somebody who could do 1 and 3, or there's somebody who could do 2 and 3. You know, that's what I'm saying. You don't tie these things to the way you're born. Can I have race-affirming surgeries to put black dye in my skin and change what my facial features look like? If such a thing exists, you're free to do so. I don't care. Well, I've been nice for 3 minutes. Sorry, Waldo. You can if you want to, Tim. I don't care. It's fine with me. You're free to do so. And if someone makes fun of you for that, they're free to do that too. If they legally harm you, if they assault you, well, then they've hurt your freedom, and I'm not on board for it. So you will say, I changed my race. You've had race affirming surgeries. Sure. Race affirming surgeries. It's fine. You're trans race phobic because you've transitioned. You know, people who have transitioned know that they're transitioning, and they say things like that, and they tell their doctor how far they are along on their transition, and they tell you, quite annoyingly, on Twitter that they're taking estrogen and stuff like that. Like, they're aware. They're not some sort of imaginary cognitive they're not cognitively ignoring these things. You've become transracial. Great. Good job. High five. I support you. I want you to be the way you want to be. Identify as African American and affirmed my racial identity by having surgery. Okay, great. Thank you. Good job, Tim. High five. You did it. I'm accepting you being free to that. What would the people on the right say? Well, they'd probably call you a monster and try and hang you or kill you. If you, if the people don't accept it, if society doesn't accept it, well, I'd rather that they did. Is my race really African now? Yes. There's no such thing as really African. Valor's got it right. These are just descriptive terms. You were AFAB is the thing they use. Assigned female at birth. Assigned AMAB, assigned male at birth. You were assigned American at birth, AB. And if you want to come up with a cool acronym to describe your transition into a different race, then do so. Nobody's doing that because we don't care. Assigned white at birth. AWAB. AWAB. There you go. That's what I'm saying. AWAB. Go for it. I don't care. You're AWAB. Trans-African. Absolutely. Congratulations. High five. I don't care. This is not important. This is of the lowest importance to me, to you, to the government, to the president. So unimportant. But here we are, half hour into debating it. Doesn't matter. Who cares? I try to be consistent, and you're right. Nobody can be 100% consistent, but we try our best. The world is a messy bitch and not consistent at all. Trying to make it consistent is worthy, but it's just like perfection. You strive for it, but you'll never get there. And with that, I'm going to get out of here before the woke mob cancels me. You can follow along on YouTube. I'm starving to death for lunch. I'm hungry. Go to YouTube. Smash the subscribe button. Fondle the bell. Stab the... no, wait. What was it? You stab the thumb for the thumbs up and set someone on fire in the comments. YouTube loves violence. Go there and do some violence. You can continue this argument if you'd like on the Discord as well. So if you want to go to the Discord, there's a Discord right there. You can argue with all these people. You can keep going even after I'm gone. You can keep popping it up in there. And Tim, if you do start a stream, hit me up. I will come on board and I will raid you and say hello with my fours of viewers. We can talk about it if you do become a streamer. I'm getting out of here. The woke mob is coming for me. I hear them. They're coming around the corner and they're saying things. They're getting ready to cancel me. So I got to go. All right. Goodbye.